Hello, this is the second part of Welcome to Heaven by Nihonza Zangetsu. Link will be in the description. All author's notes have been removed between chapters. Also, any NSFW scene will be removed. This part will cover chapter 9 to 18. Do you love her? More than anything. Would you die for her then? In a heartbeat wait. Why are you smiling? Congratulations. That was the right answer. You get to live. Tilde one angel to another. More than anything. Ferocica didn't believe in redemption. There, she said it. Happy now? There was a reason she'd avoided entering this so-called Hazbin hotel, lingering by the door while little Miss Sunshine led the guy who just might be her new boss inside. She had stayed out here on guard ever since idly fiddling with her phone, half listening to the chaos and clamour within, refusing to even acknowledge the chaos taking place within those four walls. That was what, 5 minutes ago? Honestly, she was surprised Naruto hadn't blown the place to bits yet. Angels tended to do that. Bastard was still better than Blitzo. And wasn't that saying something? There were still mornings when she glimpsed that damn crossed-out tattoo on her arm and wanted to claw it off. Looking at it made her feel filthy, wretched. A reminder of her one moment of vulnerability just before all hells broke loose. Before he ran away, stole her car, did a joyride to the Rathring, maxed out her credit cards to pay for horse riding lessons, and left her to pay for the hotel room they shared. Wouldn't return her calls, wouldn't speak to her, just fucked off because he was too much of a bitch to face her feelings. Abandoned. Betrayed. Crushed. A piece of her had died that day. She'd never been the same since. By contrast, flirting with an angel made her ex seem about as dangerous as a kid in a candy shop. She digressed. Sure, she was a bitch, but she accepted that, owned it, lived with it. Redemption was for suckers, and she wasn't no sucker, even if she had gone and got herself caught up in something way above her pay grade. Angels were bad for business on a good day, but this had the potential to go nuclear. 10 wings? She bit her fingernail, sulking a little as she searched up her phone. Ain't no way in the pits that's a cosmetic choice, right? Gotta be something more than that. Searching up something like this was annoying, but there were records, even if she had to pass her way through them. She'd heard the stories, seen the exorcists. Regular angels had the 2 wings. Those holier-than-thou seraphim bitches had 6. Who in the flying fuck had 10 again? Archangels? Verosica gulped a little and closed her phone down. No way, right? He couldn't be one of those. No shot. Her gaze flicked back to the hotel still heaving with noise and raised voices. Sounded like they were having fun in there. Should she really be considering this? Sure, the risk was high, but the prize... No. Scowling, she shook her head furiously, setting her pale hair swaying about her head. She wouldn't be fooled. She wouldn't be redeemed. She was a hellborn, and she liked it down here just fine, thank you very much. Even if most of the days were shitty, and she had to worry about being shot, and she had to do this God's awful work for a living. Okay, when you put it like that, it kinda sucked down here. But her up there? At the pearly gates? Ain't no way. Mama didn't raise no fool. Except when it came to love and lust, apparently, she couldn't help herself, all right. Mister. Goody Two-Shoes was hitting all of her switches. Tall? Check. Handsome? Double check. Wonderfully witty. Triple check, baby Tilda. Of course it helped that he was powerful enough to put someone like Carmine on her ass. Overlords were no joke. You didn't mess with them. Yet he danced with Carmilla as if they were old friends and come out on top with ease. If was strong enough to take down an overlord, he might even stack up to sins themselves. Would he be a good lay? Probably. A beat of anxious sweat ran down her brow, hastily flicked away. She got chills just thinking about it. Thinking about him. Down, girl. Control your urges. How did someone like that become an archangel anyway? He just might be one. Or whatever the angel equivalent of that was, because there was no way in heck he was a normal angel. She was still dwelling on the matter when she heard the raised voices. It started distant at first. Someone exclaimed something loudly, which in turn drew her eye. Then someone else started hollering. That had her pressing her ear to the door. The rapid footsteps approaching the door. Oh, crap! She dodged back just as someone burst through and nearly got bowled over for her trouble. Oh dear, little Miss One-Eye didn't look happy. She'd only caught a glimpse of the girl before, but now she looked wrecked. Not the good kind either. The girl was utterly, viscerally distraught, tears running down her face. Verosica had seen that look before. Hells, she'd worn it. Vaggie stormed past, good eye, wild with grief. Out of my way, bitch! Whoa, hey! The shorter girl tagged Verosika's shoulder as she raced past and sent her spinning to the floor. Girl was quick. She'd give her that. Quicker than anyone had any right to be. In the time it took her to right herself aside, she was already gone, vaulting away into the city like a bat out of hell. Wait a minute! Not 3 seconds later, little Miss Sunshine herself burst through the door, red eyes wide and puffy. Did you see which way she went? Yep. Are you gonna tell me? Nope. She smacked her lips, producing an audible pop. Why not? Because she looked upset. She laid a hand on the wall, nails digging deeply as her tail thrashed angrily behind her. And I'm guessing you had something to do with it. Wasn't hard to guess what. You break up with her or something? No! Charlie recoiled like she'd been slapped and hastily averted her gaze. It's just a lot to take in. Her head tilted. What is? What do you think? Someone hallooed from deeper within the hotel. Girl's a freaking winged monkey and she didn't even tell us. Don't get me started on Whiskers over there. Not one more word out of you, Angel Dust. What, you gonna gag me? I'd like that. Not happening. Husk. Bottle him. A crash of glass echoed within, followed by an unmanly yelp. All right. Now she really wanted to see what was going on in there. Said blonde waltzed through the door with an annoyed murmur, eyes aglow, wings burning. Checking the door with one shoulder, he turned with the other to regard the diminutive, one-eyed little gremlin currently clinging to his back and doing her damnedest to shank him. Bemused by her behaviour, he reached around, plucked her off him, and dangled her before him as one might a naughty kitten. An angry, murderous, stabby-happy kitten, that is. You can stop stabbing me now, Nifty. The one-eyed little gremlin blinked up at him, nonplussed. I can't kill you, he smirked. You can try, but it won't stick, I'm afraid. She slumped with a sulk. Ah! You should probably get back to cleaning, he said. We made quite a mess in there. He dropped her, to which she immediately scuttled back inside like a cockroach. Verosika shuddered despite herself. Just what kind of hotel is this? Never mind that. Charlie all but thrust her way between them. We're wasting time, we gotta go after Vaggie. We? Verosika cocked a hip at her, unamused. Who's we? Because right now, sweetheart, you're probably the last person she wants to see. Charlie recoiled, stung by the truth. I didn't mean to hurt her. Yeah? Well, you did. She was crying. Charlie whimpered. Naruto sighed. I'll bring her back. And just like that, her eyes were sparkling all over again. You will? Verosika squawked unhappily. He will? Yes, he will. Naruto shot her a quelling glance as Charlie gave him a hug. Go on now. He gently but firmly pried her off him. Take a nap, get some rest. This'll all be over by the time you wake up. Her voice warbled. But Vaggie is probably scared out of her wits right now. He chastised her. That's my fault, so I'll fix it. Have a little trust. Promise? She sniffled. He held up his pinky finger. She hooked hers around it immediately. Little Miss Princess looked like she wanted to protest further, but for once she listened to him. Taking her hand from his, she slunk back into the hotel, crestfallen yet mollified. The moment she was gone, Naruto gave her an annoyed look. Was that really necessary? Verosika huffed and crossed both arms over her bosom. You tell me. You fucked up. Indeed he did. Someone else appeared, nudging the door aside. My, this has been a rather entertaining evening, Tilt. You've left me in a most murderous mood. Now who was it? Verosika rounded on the newcomer, ready to tell him to piss right off, and froze, rooted where she stood. A dapper fellow wearing red, and more red emerged from the entrance. He all but sauntered out the shadows wearing a toothy grin that didn't quite reach his eyes. There was a smug swagger in his step as he twirled his staff in hand, a gleam in his gaze, and if one were to look closely, they might have seen horns growing out his hair just for a moment before they receded. Verosika's blood, such as it was, ran cold at the sight of him, followed by a weak whimper parting her full lips. Shit, shit! She knew who this bastard was. Nearly everyone in the circles did. What was the freaking Radiant Demon doing here? Don't worry, old chum. Alistair turned that false smile on Naruto with a hollow titter. I'll make certain our benefactor doesn't do anything foolish while you're away. You? Naruto looked like he wanted to say something, only to sigh and shake his head instead. I'll deal with you later. His smile sharpened dangerously. And you. It sounded like a promise. Or a threat. Wait, Naruto snorted and quirked a pale brow his way. Was that supposed to be a warning? Is that what we're doing now? Alistair laughed back. I was trying to be coy. Were you? Naruto leered at him. You're clearly out of practice. Maybe that's why Charlie calls this place the Hazbin Hotel. Haha, came the rejoinder. The name was actually my idea, I'll have you know. Naruto leaned closer, teeth bared. Ha ha. Well, it's not very clever. Ha ha! Alistair slammed his skull against Naruto's. Fuck you! It was the straw that broke the camel's back. Naruto's gaze gleamed gold, wings flaring in all their holy radiance. Deadly horns grew from Alistair's head as his body became a warped, twisted thing. The very air trembled between them. Yet despite their respective transformations, they didn't budge an inch, too busy headbutting one another. Neither noticed her. Neither acknowledged her. Neither even perceived of her existence. She may as well have been an ant to them for all it mattered. They'd certainly squash her like one if she tried to interfere. She had absolutely no business placing herself between two monsters who were clearly ready to fight to the death. And yet, trembling a little, she gulped once and dared to cough into a fist. Both angel and demon whipped around to glare her way. Nope, not pissing them off. Meep, you promised Charlie you'd get Vaggie. She tried, voice quavering. Remember, pretty sure she'd be upset if you wrecked the hotel. Naruto stared at her. Alistair chuckled. Double meep. She has a point. I suppose she does. Alistair returned to his normal form with a grotesque sound of cracking bone, voice losing its ghastly crackle. Shall we take a rain check? Just this once. Turning his back on the madman, Naruto stalked away. Veronica dithered, torn between following him and getting the hell out of Dodge. I think I left the oven on at home. No, no, no! Naruto wrapped an arm around her waist and tucked her in snugly against his hip to prevent her from fleeing. If I'm dealing with this, then so are you. If you're good, I might not spank you. Hello, Lust again, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again, Tilda. Veronica purred contentedly, hips wriggling, tail swaying mama-like. But how are you going to track her down anyway? Easily. He shrugged a shoulder. She's not the first angel I've dealt with this week, and she's way weaker than Adam. Veronica did a double take. Excuse me? 0.0. Adam sneezed, and for a moment, his perpetual torment ceased. So, we done, big man? There was a silence, large and looming, like the whole of creation itself. He gulped. Would you believe if I said I'd learned my lesson? The answer proved immediate. Repent. Ow. 0.0. Vaggie fled. Like the coward she was at heart, she turned heel and ran. From Charlie, from him, from everything. In all fairness, she didn't know where she was running and she didn't care, so long as it was away from here. Damn that dirty archangel. This was all his fault. What was he even doing here? She vaulted over a trash bin, skirted a burning building, always something on fire down here, and kept running. Her vision was blurring. She furiously scrubbed at her good eye with her left hand. She wasn't crying. No tears. She really was, wasn't she? She tripped and sprawled headlong into a wall. And that, as they say, was that. It was too much. Something broke deep inside her and the floodwaters came. She curled into a ball in the alley, buried her fussy in her hands and bawled, sobbing and screaming as she hadn't in years. She wasn't sure how much time passed after that. It could have been minutes. Might have been hours, who knew? Not her. Eventually, a winged shadow fell over her. Is this a bad time? She glared up at him. How did you find me? A smile, sharp as a blade. Hun your burning sadness and sorrow like nothing else down here. Not to mention you're basically a beacon to me. She slumped back in the alley, giving UO. Go on, then. Get it over with. I don't care anymore. Yes, you do, she hissed at him. What? I said yes, you do, he repeated, thrusting a finger her way. You want it all to end? You'd rather die than face your past. He cocked his head aside, considering her anew. Or are you that afraid of upsetting Charlie? Shame burned through her anew. Jump up your own ass and die. Tried that, didn't work. Shut up. She flung a bit of trash his way. Is this a game to you? One big joke. You ruined my life. To be fair, he held up a hand. I didn't even know you were an angel until I'd met you. Did it matter? It was over. All over. Heaven had come for her. Come back to finish what Luton Adams started. Did he intend to take her back and torture her? Death was one thing, torment another. She had no love for the latter. Cabron hijo de perra. She sprang to her feet, swearing in Spanish as jabbed her spear at him. I know your game. You'll never take me alive. Lucky for you, I don't intend on fighting you at all. He landed beside her, head tilted. You're an exorcist, aren't you? Your soul's familiar, like I've seen it before. He sounded uncertain, as if he didn't know, but that didn't make any sense. If he was truly an agent of heaven, come to silence her or drag her back for torture, then wouldn't he know? How did you get down here? More questions. More feigned ignorance. She scowled at him. Don't play dumb. Everyone knows why. I spared someone during extermination day. They took my eye, my halo, and my wings for it. And who was this someone? She averted her gaze. It was just a kid. A nearby wall shattered abruptly. Naruto had gone terribly still. If she weren't looking right at him, she would have thought him a statue. A child? His voice fell to a low, startled rasp. You're telling me Extermination Day kills kids too? Why did the air feel so cold all of a sudden? It was supposed to be hot down here, and yet it felt like she had just stepped into a blizzard. Had his eyes always been so bright? You didn't know? I'm new. He said it as though it explained everything. A muscle jumped in his jaw. You saved the kid, right? Something told Vaggie her very existence hinged on the answer. Yeah, I did, all right. She looked away, grabbing her right elbow and tucking in against her chest. Don't stir old shit up for no good reason. A relieved sigh was her reward. You have no idea how happy I am to hear that. An awful thought occurred to her just then. Was he telling the truth? How do I know you're for real? Why should I even believe you? I could give you all manner of answers, but they wouldn't satisfy you now, would they? She scowled at him, ready to bolt. No, they wouldn't. I'm not really sure how well you would hold up if I showed you my memories right now. You'll just have to wait and see. Although, in an instant, he closed the distance between them. Here. He laid a hand on her ruined eye, and the other on her head, holding her fast. Consider this a token of good faith. She tried to squirm away, but it was no use. His grip was too strong, too ironclad. A token of what? Her words peaked into a strangled yelp of pain as long-dead sensation came rushing back into her face. It lasted for about a moment before curious numbness settled over it. She blinked her eyes, confused by the sudden absence of it. Wait, her eyes? As in more than one? Gasping, she flailed at her face with both hands, tears straining down her face. What did you do? He smiled, warm as a sunbeam. Ain't it obvious? Her halo was still gone, but perhaps that was for the best, given she had fallen. Panic dawned. Charlie! Shit! What do I tell her? Naruto shrugged. How about the truth? The truth will set you free. The gall. She wanted to smack him for it. That's rich coming from you, Mr. Fearless. Hey now, I fear plenty of things. Such as? He flushed. I'm ticklish, for one. She scoffed. You are not. Sure am. Try me. Vaggie hesitated, scooted closer, and dared to jab his stomach with a finger just under his ribs. He recoiled with a laugh. See? You know, there is one more thing I could do for you. She eyed him warily. Sorry, not interested. This time, he recoiled for a different reason altogether. What? No, I wasn't talking about that. I meant your wings. And your halo? What happened to them? Ripping. Pain. Agony. Her face closed down. They're gone. Taken from me. She was an outcast now in every way that mattered. Do you know the name of the angel that attacked you? She hesitated, if only for a moment. What was the harm? She was screwy either way. Might as well go out on her terms. Adam. And loot. Naruto chuckled. It was a little more than a snicker at first, but soon that became a giggle, then an outright cackle as he doubled over, clutching his stomach. What's so funny? Straightening up, he wiped a mirthful tear from the corner of his eye, snickering one last time. You wouldn't believe me if I told you. Buster! She planted a fist on her hip and glared his way. After the day I've had, I will leave just about anything. Spill it. So he did. By the end of it, she was questioning a great many things. You did what? When? To who? Oh God, she wished she was there to see Adam humbled. I literally just told you. She swore at him in Spanish again. All right, no need to break out the cuss words, she huffed. I've been down here for ages. This place rubs off on you. His face closed down. Yeah, it kinda does, doesn't it? Hold still. A nervous beat of panic fluttered through her heart. Hey, now wait just a second. What are you going to do this time? He spun her around and placed both hands against her back. Fix you. Fire surged through her shoulders, and she doubled over with a gasp, clutching herself. As quickly as it came, it vanished. There was a weight against her back again. Impossible, unless... She dared to glance over her shoulder. Oh, wow. Her wings were larger than she had remembered. The colours, once a harsh black and white, were now a softer shade altogether, more of a white-grey. She found herself reaching back to touch them, almost absently, revelling in her new-found freedom. It was like phantom, limb pain. She had lived without them, gone without them, for so long now that the sun return almost left her unbalanced. Pretty wings. The compliments sent a rush of heat to her face. Stop that! He blinked. Stop what? Stop using that silver tongue of yours. Stop being so nice. I'm really not doing anything, though. He held out his hands to ward off another poke of her finger. I'm just being me. Bullshit. Nobody's this nice. I am. Well, he amended with a shrug. Most of the time when I'm not dealing with megalomaniac idiots asking for a beating. What was she to say to that? What cudgeled she say for that matter? Her wings tucked in and vanished. What do you think of Charlie's plan? He smiled sadly. Would you believe me if I said it's hopeful? I'm sensing a but here. There was one. It's also kind of naive. He held up a finger, further emphasizing his point. I can sense emotions. Negativity, intent, murderous or otherwise, I've had that ability ever since the war. Part of it stuck with me, I guess, even after losing Karama. Or maybe being an angel heightened it. I don't know. Regardless, there's a lot of nasty shit down here. Maybe some of it can be redeemed, but the idea of everyone being saved? Yeah, that's a pipe dream. I used to think everyone could be saved, too. I tried my hardest to save someone. And I succeeded, I think. But for every hard luck case, there are those who are just unable or unwilling to change. So you're saying there's hope for some, at least? Maybe. He waffled a hand between them. Charlie's a little naive to think you can save everyone. Hey, that's my girlfriend you're talking about. Belatedly, she winced, recalling the hurt look she's seen in her eyes, the expression of betrayal, horror, hurt. She looked away, gripping her right arm under her blossom as a surge of self-loathing kicked at ear chest. I mean, I think she still is, Naruto scoffed. Please, a little hiccup like this? I used to carry a monster inside my stomach. People were terrified of me. You'll be fine. How did you deal with said monster? He planted both fists on his hips and boomed a belly laugh. Fought him, kicked his ass, made him my best friend. You get used to it. She balked at him, incredulous. How do you even function? One breath at a time. You're insane. She palmed her face, despairing. You're actually insane. Naruto tilted his head. You're just figuring that out now. I'm starting to think it's an angel thing. No, no, no! She thrust a finger in his face. You don't get to pin the blame on me for that. Don't even try. He smiled. Who's blaming you? Vaggie elbowed his ribs. She found herself starting to, well, not trust him. She'd only just met him, but the sheer amount of bombs he dropped on her had done a great deals, a break the ice between them. And if he was telling the truth about even half of the things he said, which she believed she was. Well, a lot was about to change. Maybe for the worse, maybe for the better. Who could say? Not her. She just wanted to keep Charlie safe. For her, at least, nothing else mattered, so long as she was safe and happy. I won't tell you what to do. Naruto planted a hand on her shoulder, but his grip was comforting, not the icy cold of loot she remembered from that dark day. I'll leave that up to you. You're a good person, Vaggie. Just like Charlie. Her brow furrowed. Hey, watch it, Buster. She's taken. He chuckled a little, amused by her. But I didn't do anything. She flicked a finger between them. Naruto laughed anew, but only for a moment. Then his visage hardened. Do you love her? What kind of question was that? More than anything. Would you die for her then? In a heartbeat wait. Why are you smiling? Congratulations. He patted her head. Oh, that was the answer I was looking for. You get to live. Maybe not, yet, but she was leery of him still. I still don't entirely trust you. Steeling herself, she stepped in and gave him a quick hug. But healing me was sweet, she finished. What now? Now? He turned an eye toward the sky. I'm thinking I need to have a word with someone. And that someone would be... For once, the silence was his answer. Vaggie balked. Oh, no. Nuh-uh. Tell me you're not thinking what I think you're thinking. All right. He clasped both hands behind his head and grinned her way. I'm not. Naruto, no. Naruto, yes! He was still speaking when a blazing star fell upon him from on high with the force of 1,000 hammers, smashing him face first into the street in an explosion of dust. In the chaos that followed, Vaggie beheld blazing red eyes in the haze. 2 growling words rumbled through. Found! You! Chapter 10. Morningstar, I have some information for you. In the interest of maintaining peaceful relations between us, Wait. Is that you, Sarah? Well, shit. Haven't heard from you in years. What you want, bitch? Someone made your daughter cry. Who? Tilda Sarah, just like us. Well. Now, wasn't this a familiar situation? Naruto smirked, releasing a bemused breath into the asphalt. There wasn't any pain, not really, but the impact alone had him seeing stars. He'd actually had his brain rocked for a moment there. Not many folks who could do that. Only 5 that came to mind, really. And those with red eyes? Well, that narrowed it even further. Blinking the blazing dots them from his vision, he twisted his head aside, momentarily freeing himself from his captor's grasp before another hand came crashing down on the back of his head, locking him in place. Again, he felt neither pain nor fear nor even the slightest concern. You know, there's really no need for this. Because, you see, he knew those eyes. Oh yes, he knew them very well. Even if they were hiding their face in that tattered cloak. A low growl rumbled above him in response to his smile. You insufferable bastard, say something! Craning his neck back as much as his captor would allow, he allowed a crazed grin to split his face. Sarcasm it was. Oh, I missed you too, honey Tilda. 5 firm fingers bit into his skull and twisted as an angry voice snarled in his ear. Care to rephrase that? Ow. All right, that hurt a little. Okay, don't pull the hair. So speaking, he reached around with a free hand and scratched the back of his head sheepishly. Long time no see. Those searing red eyes didn't waver. Not once. Is that all you have to say to me? A bead of sweat ran down his brow. You look good. The hand gripping his skull forced his face deeper into the dirt. Wrong answer. Vaggie, having seen quite enough, drew her spear. Hey, let him go. His captor rounded on her, practically frothing at the mouth. You be quiet, little Miss Angel. You're responsible for this too. She paused, tilting her head. I am? You most certainly are. Naruto's resultant laugh was muffled into the dirt. Don't worry, it's fine. They're a friend. Vaggie looked between him and his hooded captor. They're not acting very friendly. Pretty sure I know the reason for that. Twisting around, he seized hands holding his hand, grabbed the tattered sleeves of the cloak, and yanked. A dismayed shout was his reward. Don't. Too late, the garment fell away. Yup, Naruto smacked his lips. Thought so. He was beginning to think the afterlife had a cruel sense of humor. At first glance, one might have been forgiven for mistaking the newcomer for Kushina Uzumaki. Oh, they looked like his mother, but he knew it wasn't. There were subtle differences one easily noticed up close. The eyes were different for one, a blazing slitted red, her face leaner, hair rougher, jaw set in a stern scowl. He didn't remember her being quite so stacked, or tall, for that matter either. Of course, the 9 bushy tails and fiery fox ears atop her head helped to distinguish the kitsune further. The scandalously short shorts and low-cut crimson top only served to further exasperate him. Still, at least this form was somewhat humanoid. Humanoid and very annoyed. Infinitely so. Poor Kurama. He'd sensed all this mere moments before impact, hence why he'd allowed himself to be tackled in the first place. Now? And I thought I had it rough. He clasped both hands behind his, sorry about this, Kurama. Vaggie's jaw dropped. That's Kurama? Naruto shrugged. To be fair, he usually doesn't look like this. No kidding. Do you have any idea how annoying it is to have tits? That's your problem? Far from it. The fox's voice was rougher, lower, undoubtedly feminine, but the lofty arrogance definitely belonged to his old partner. I'm stuck in the body of a bitch. The Biju slapped a hand against her hip. I was naked when I fell down here. I had to swipe these clothes off the second soul I found. Second, are they? Her pale face flushed. Long story. I wasn't about to make a shady deal with that bastard. Shady deals? Yep. That had Alastor written all over it. Regardless, a finger jabbed into his nose seeking brain matter. You're going to fix this. Now. A moment of silence passed. Yet another now. Then, And how do you expect me to do that? It wasn't as though he could simply open his soul and let the fox back in. Don't get him wrong, he'd be happy to, but he wasn't sure he could. He laid a hand over his stomach, scowling a little as he realized the seal was no longer there. Of course it wasn't. He died. Why would it be? Kurama growled but refrained from arguing. You're an angel now, aren't you? Take me up to those pearly gates, tell them there's been a mistake, and get this fixed. Surely you can at least do that. I mean, sure, but I'm trying to figure out why this happened in the first place. Thumbing his chin, he tilted his head, considered the buxom redhead with confusion. Maybe because the afterlife couldn't give you my form, so they went with the last physical body you were in. Maybe that's why you kinda resemble Mom. Kurama kicked a wall, causing it to rumble. Don't remind me. If your mother's anywhere in this afterlife, I'm sure she's laughing herself silly. I still think there's something else at work here, considering we both died in the first place. You know. The fox flicked his forehead. Speaking of which, how did you manage to die in the first place? What do you mean? He squinted at his old friend. Sasuke killed us, remember? The kitsune squinted at him, incredulous. That's not what I recall at all. Huh? You sure about that? I remembering being run through. Nonsense. Something like that shouldn't have killed you. Strange. The fox asked another question, distracting him further. Why were you up in heaven for so long, anyhow? Why didn't you come looking for me? Embarrassment shot through him. Emily, Sarah, Lute, and a whole host of distractions. Well, I was busy. A fist seized his collar, dragging him closer. Red eyes glowered at him. Explain. Now. Okay, he held up both hands, but you can't get mad at me. Start talking and we'll see. All right. I was minding my own business. Bullshit. I was. He laughed, fending the fox off with one hand. Do you think I asked for this get-up? I literally died and found myself in heaven. Kurama huffed. And me down here, as if he needed reminding. A lot's happened since I wound up there. Some wingy bastard named Adam picked a fight with me and... Adam? Never heard of him. Naruto flung up his arms. That's what I said. Look, there's a ton to unpack. I'll do my best to help you, but I'm a bit busy at the moment. Kurama stomped on his foot. I look like some red-headed bimbo. What could possibly be more important than fixing this? Naruto looked away with a whistle, scratching his cheek. You wouldn't believe me if I told you. The fox girl scowled. It's a woman, isn't it? No? Right. Speaking of girls, Kurama jerked a thumb over her shoulder at Vaggie with an indignant huff. That one's been staring at my tits for the last 5 minutes, said Angel, recoiled with a sputtering blush. I have not. Child, I have eyes. Yours have been fixed on my bosom. What's even to like about them? She hefted the pert mounds of flesh with a growl, looking like she wanted nothing more than to tear them off. Blasted flesh bags. They're so heavy. How does your kind walk with these? What purpose do they serve? Vaggie made noise caught somewhere between a sigh and a groan. Naruto covered her eyes to spare her. You're making the poor girl drool, Kurama. Am I? I hadn't noticed. But enough games. The fox dropped both arms and began tapping a bare foot impatiently. Take me up to heaven this instant so I can get this sorted out. I will, he placated with a raised hand. I just need to get Vaggie back to Charlie first. No! A stomp shattered the street. This is more important. Stubborn fox? Kurama, Naruto. It's literally going to take less than a minute. Every second in this form is an indignity I cannot bear. Vaggie raised a hand. Is it really that bad? She's awfully easy on the eyes. Kurama glared bloody red daggers at her, voice warping ominously. Finish that sentence at your own peril, winged pigeon. Pigeon! Down, girl. Naruto chopped the back of her head lest she get herself killed. You have Charlie. She huffed and squirmed out from under his hand. Sorry? Fine. Kurama surprised him by abruptly backing down. I'll wait. Shall we shake on it? Warily, he offered his hand. Kurama accepted his palm, held tight, and promptly flung him over his shoulder and into a wall. Incredulous, he ripped himself out of the brickwork, leaving a decidedly angel-shaped impression behind. He was still shaking his head when a streak of scarlet light blitzed him. Rather than retaliate, he tripped, sending the blazing blur sprawling into the street at his feet in a dishevelled heap. Can't fight so well in that new body of yours, can ya? A tail seized his ankle and whipped him face first into the floor with an audible crunch. Hey! Naruto sprang back with a sigh. Can we not do this right now? I've had a hell of a day. He was still speaking when Kurama slugged him in the face, snapping his head back. Ow! Just as quickly he snapped back down, halo aglow and eyes ablaze. Never mind, we're back in business. You asked for it. A quick 1-2 punch floored his old comrade, leaving the fox reeling. He made the mistake of turning his back to check on Vaggie then. The moment he did, Kurama tackled him to the floor. Pinning him there, the fox planted a clawed hand on his chest. You started this mess, Naruto Uzumaki. You will fix it, even if I must make you. He scowled up at them, indignant. Big talk from a bipedal bitch. In hindsight, he really hadn't meant to say that aloud. Errors have been made. They were his. Kurama absolutely hissed. Bitch, am I? Let me show you how bitchy I can be. The fox reared back and punched him through a building. 0.0. Everything shook. Blitzo creaked an eye open where he lay in bed. Scowled now, rolled over with a growl. Noisy bastards. But trying to sleep here. Besides, it was probably nothing. Right? 0.0. Vaggie watched two monsters fight. It was like watching the sins themselves go at it. Buildings were shorn free, the street uprooted, chaos and fire and holy light everywhere. Sinners shouldn't be able to inflict half the damage they did. But Kurama was clearly no menial sinner, and Naruto was far more than that. The duo ripped and tore their way across the street like a pair of berserkers, not caring a jot for their surroundings. And yet, somehow, neither managed to make the other bleed. For all the dirge and destruction, all the attention they were no doubt attracting, they didn't shed a drop of blood. She wasn't sure whether she found that amazing or horrifying. Naruto caught one of Kurama's tails, whirled and smashed them into the ground. He laughed, only for a rousing roundhouse to catch his chin and smash him into a lamppost, denting it horribly. He ripped said post free and used it as a bat to smack his old comrade through someone's window, eliciting a sharp shriek of dismay from the owner within. Kurama tore through the building and smashed into him. On and on it went, a raging battle without end. Should she interrupt? Could she? Nope. No way in the hells was she getting involved. At some point, Veronica staggered up to her in the chaos. There you are. You're not an easy bitch to find. She paused. Saw Naruto and Kurama wailing on one another. Blinked now. Scrubbed her eyes with both hands just to be sure. The hell did I miss? Vaggie made to answer, only to realize Naruto had just lost a good portion of his upper robe, baring his chest to the smouldering air. Veronica tilted her head with a wolfish whistle. Vaggie mirrored her. What? She liked girls. She was adamant about that. Still, she could appreciate some nice muscles. And when that feisty fox lost her top, well, damn. Surely Charlie's were nice and all, but those were freaking big. Ahem tilled. Vaggie scowled, drawn from her daydream. Now what? Veronica gulped. Everyone looked up. Someone else looked down upon them. Another angel hovered above them, 6 wings lazily treading the air. He wore red and white with a strange hat, his pale face pinched in an expression of pure murder, and... Oh no. Vaggie's throat went dry, followed by her tongue, then her entire mouth. In that instant, she wanted nothing more than to shrivel up and die. All right, you little shits, the newcomers scowled, last word emerging as a growl. Which one of you made my daughter cry? And just like that, things went from bad to worse. Morningstar had arrived. Chapter 11. There is nothing more dangerous in this world or the afterlife than an angry parent. Yeah, about that. Let me stop you right there. Have you seen Kurama? Tilda? Worth fighting for. Who made my daughter cry? Naruto craned his neck back with an irritated scowl, blinked once and tried to make heads or tails of what was happening. What in the actual hell am I looking at here? Needless to say, well, he did not succeed. Hell yes, that was the proper word. He had no idea who this clown was, and he didn't mean that as a joke either. Guy genuinely looked like a clown with the whole white face, bright eyes, and rosy spots on his cheeks. But what he noticed about him first and foremost were the wings. 6 of them, in fact. Seraphim! The word popped into his head unbidden. Just like Emily and Sarah. Did that make him an angel? No halo, though. Strange. Why is a clown here? Said Angel twitched. Excuse me? Kurama righted herself. What? He called it as he saw it, behind him with an annoyed noise and glared baleful bloody red daggers up at the interloper. You're interrupting us. She slashed a hand outward, fangs flashing in the low light as she snarled furiously. Beat it before we beat you. With that sudden motion, the last tattered scraps of her top, already barely hanging on to begin with, finally gave up the goose and fell. She was not wearing a bra beneath said top. Heat rushed to Naruto's face. Oi! Verusica whistled. Damn! Vaggie pitched backward with an almighty nosebleed. He couldn't even blame her for it. Do not make eye contact. Do not look at the tits. Do not, Tilda! Apparently, the as-of-yet unnamed angel was of one mind with him on this, because he covered his pale face with one hand and sighed sullenly. Nice try, but I'm happily married. Kurama tilted her head. I didn't ask. Oi! Naruto gesticulated wildly. Clothes! No, no, Verusica crooned, hips swaying as she wriggled happily in place. Mama likes where this is going. What are you on about? Kurama looked down with a thunderous scowl. I'm still wearing... Oh. Heat crept into her cheeks as she beheld her nakedness. Blasted things. Seizing one breast in hand, she twisted it viciously, all but ready to tear it away from her chest completely. I'll show you. Naruto stepped in and seized her by the wrist before she could do something foolish, all the while careful to stare well above the kitsune's head. Stop that. If you tear your tits off, you'll bleed to death in a minute. Not sure how that'd work since you're already dead. That had be what? Double death? But gah! She headbutted him under the chin mid-sentence, causing him to painfully bite his tongue. What was that for? A finger flashed forth, grinding into his skull. Because this is your doing. Me? He deadpanned down at her, rubbing his chin. Sore, because I magically gave you tits bigger than Sunad's. Blame me for that too. She glowered at him, one arm over her bosom, suddenly pink in the cheeks, tails swaying behind her. Ah, was that compliment? He flung up his arms. No, 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 and no. We are not doing this. Verusica hooted happily. You definitely are. Kiss the girl. Kurama spluttered. Not even in your dreams. A bolt of light sizzled down between them, cutting him off before she could belt the bitch. Seriously? He scowled up at the angry angel, finding him still airborne. We're in the middle of something here. Who are you even supposed to be, anyway? The maybe angel twitched. Do you not know who I am? Kurama bit his shoulder while he was distracted. He backhanded her into a building. Without missing a beat, he blinked up at this new, unknown adversary. Should we... Ugh! His retort seemed to physically wound the angel. Short little bastard lurched in the air and clutched at his heart. Right in the pride. Cheeky little no, it doesn't matter. In an instant, he drifted down, wings tucked in behind him, gaze blazing like balefire, eyes only for him. I know you. For the umpteenth time, he found a furled finger trying to poke a hole in his skull. You're the prick that made my daughter cry. Buddy. Naruto nudged Kurama aside and batted the blazing finger down with a scowl. You keep talking about your daughter, but I don't know. Wait. He squinted at the man. Finally noticed the resemblance now. Pale skin, glowing eyes, those cheeky red circles on his face. Charlie, put two and two together at long last. He snapped his fingers with a laugh. You're her old man, ain't ya? Seizing both palms in his, he pumped them up and down with an enthusiastic handshake. She's the brightest little ball of sunshine I've ever encountered in my life. And that's saying something. In hindsight, he probably shouldn't have exclaimed that last bit aloud, because it sent the fallen angel into a sputtering tizzy. What was his name again? It had been some long word that started with the letter L, hadn't it? Lars? Lucy? Meh. Couldn't remember. He'd just call him Morningstar. Or Lucy. Both were easier. But oh dear, Morningstar was scowling at him. You're being awfully familiar with my daughter. Well, why wouldn't I be? He tilted his head. We're pals. An eye twitched. Is that so? Yep. Blind to the byplay, he released the angel's hands and clamped a palm down on his shoulder instead. You raised an amazing daughter, even if she's a little naive. Kurama face-plamed. Idiot. Lucy grimaced. I mean, you're not wrong about that last bit, but hey! His scowl returned tenfold as he remembered his reason for coming here in the first place. Don't distract me. If you're such good friends, then why did I find her bawling her eyes out? Now his words held weight and a fair bit of confusion. Bawling her eyes out? Oh, right. He was kinda responsible for that one, wasn't he? Oops. When faced with the protective wrath of a potentially all-powerful father, there could be only one course of action, one remedy, one solution to solve his problems. Ergo, pass the buck. Pass it hard. Pass it like a hot potato and pass it fast, tilt. He pivoted in place and thrust a finger forth. Vaggie did it! Lucifer moved just as quickly, rounding on her with an evil leer. Oh, Tilda, and who is this Vaggie? Verosica wisely stepped back, pointing as she went. That'd be her. The recently recovered angel recoiled. Excuse me, you're the one who went and outed me as an angel. Clever girl, tossing the potato back. To be fair, I didn't mean to do that. Morningstar whipped around to regard him with a glare once more. So you're the one after all? Naruto flung up his hands. Me? I didn't do anything. I came down here to... A fist latched onto his collar. Hurt my daughter. Buddy, I didn't even know her until today. You think that little of her then? No! Will you listen to me? Not a chance. He swept an arm out, encompassing them both. You started this, and she... He stabbed a finger toward a chagrined Vaggie. Lied to my baby girl. You're both responsible insofar as I'm concerned, and Miss Tall, Red and Feisty over there is guilty by association. Hey! Naruto blew out a breath through his nose, snorting angrily. All right, that settled it. This guy was either trying to pick a fight or clearly not thinking straight. He got it, really. Protect your kids at all costs. He would feel the same if he was a parent, and he had encountered his fair share of brats while he was out on missions himself. Konohamaru, for instance, was like a little brother to him, but there were limits to his patience. Look, pal, I don't know who you are or what your deal is here. I literally rule this place. But we're kinda in the middle of something here. I don't know who told you about all this. You're being misinformed. Wait! Kurama bulled between them, eyes blazing. You're an angel, aren't you? Lucy blinked once, irritated, but unwilling to attack outright. Fallen, technically, but yes. Fix me! She seized his shoulders and gave him a demented shake. Get me out of this blasted hormonal body at once. Nope. He battered her hands down as one might an angry child. No can do, that's out of my purview. And even if it weren't, I don't go around helping strangers, least of all souls like you. She gnashed her teeth. I have literally never met you. Maybe so, but you're still friends with this guy, so I am going to fuck you. Silence rang supreme. Kurama's jaw clicked open, eyes wide and face red. Excuse me? Naruto tilted his head. Definitely not the right phrase. I think you meant F***K as up. Isn't that the same thing? Lucy touched a finger to his chin and squinted at the sky, considering. No, I'm pretty sure it was... Kurama decked him in the face while he wasn't looking, delivering a vicious right cross to dent Lucy's cheek. The resultant sneak attack sent him shrieking through a building. His body smashed through it, then another, struck the street once, bounced and bulldozed another, soon vanishing from sight altogether. Naruto flung up his arms, exasperated. Why did you do that? I literally almost had him talked down. You didn't, she snarled back, butting her head against his close enough to kiss. Nobody fucks me but me. Do you have any idea how ridiculous that sounds? Besides, she huffed, flicking a stray strand of scarlet hair behind her hair, that fallen fool was in the way. Now he's not. Our fight continues. Vaggie slumped to her knees, covering her face with both hands. We're so dead. Quiet over there, Miss Newwings. That goes double for you, Pinky, Verosica squawked unhappily. Why me? No more talking. From you. Ignoring them both, she pivoted to face him once more. Now, brat, are you going to take me up to the pearly gates or must I smack some sense into you? He scowled at her, undaunted by her display of dominance. You say that like you were winning before. A feral grin split her face. Battle it is. Now where were we? She was still speaking when he made to sweep her knees, only for her to block him with a raised heel. Sparks skittered between them, their raised limbs clashing furiously as each balanced upon one foot. Pivoting, he fell upon a hand and smashed a kick into her chin. Kurama took with a laugh and didn't budge. Much better. I felt that one. She really did talk a good game. However, rolling his eyes, Naruto dropped flat-swayed under her kick when she tried to follow through, then lunged up and drove an open palm between her breasts. The impact blasted her backwards, sending her skidding away on her bare feet with a pained cry, where stumbled once and promptly doubled over, clutching at her chest. You good? Had he seriously hurt her? Ow! She wailed, clutching her tits. Right in the boobs! That freaking hurts! Really, he should have known better. Bastard! Her head snapped up, red eyes glazing with pained tears. That's a cheap shot. You don't see me going for your balls. He winced, slightly chagrined. To be fair, I didn't think it would hurt that much. You try carrying a pair of massive knockers around and see how it feels. Nope. All the nope. I'd rather not, thanks. Wrong thing to say, that. My turn. Eyes blazing, chest heaving, Quaram opened her mouth and snarled furiously, the very act of which conjured a swath of familiar chakra before her lips. As he looked on, it condensed itself into a singular sphere. She bit down on that mass of deathly light, devouring it, swallowed, condensing it still further. When next she opened her mouth, he saw the jutsu building within, growing brighter with each passing moment. His eyes bulged. Bijudama? Seriously? That's overkill. She dropped down onto all fours, preparing to fire. All's fair in love and war. His wings flared behind him, each conjuring a Rasengan in the vain hope of countering. And a building between them erupted into a towering pillar of flame. You've done it now! Morningstar emerged from the inferno, jacket scuffed and dirty. Long red horns jutted from his forehead with blazing eyes to match, sharp teeth gnashing furiously as he snarled. A wicked flame danced atop his forehead, and there, just behind his legs, one could see a furious black barbed tail thrashing about, kicking up sparks wherever it struck the street. He was furious. Kurama whirled and opened fire on him. He slapped the tailed beast bomb aside with the back of his hand, diverting it toward heaven high above. Naruto's heart leapt into his throat, only for the blast to strike a barrier. Miraculously, it held, until it didn't. With a sound akin to that of shattering glass, the almighty jutsu smashed through, lancing out in a singular beam to cleave away the top of a tower, then another, followed by a third before finally petering out. The broken remains came crashing down out the heavens, fiery meteors raining down from on high, ventilating buildings and vehicles as they went. Naruto rounded on his comrade, eyes blazing. Kurama! The kitsune woman winced. Oops. Oops, she said. To be fair, that winged bastard deflected it. She hadn't killed anyone with that display, somehow. But she'd probably scared the ever-living crap out of the hells and heaven besides. Maybe they'd take the two of them a bit more seriously now? Needless to say, Morningstar wasn't in the best of moods. You come into my house and start this shit. You're dead! For the first time since he'd come to this strange afterlife of his, Naruto felt a flicker of concern. Wait a minute. If this guy was Charlie's dad and his last name was Morningstar, then didn't that make him Whoa? The angry angel raised both hands above his head, fingers crook in the claws. A spectre of blazing flame manifested between them. That was quite the large fireball. Die! Oh, crap! His world went white. 0.0, 0.0. Kurama came to with a start. Pain manifested first, punctuated by panic, then followed by a blazing headache as she righted herself. This blasted body was infernally annoying. So soft, so squishy, so weak. Bad enough to be trapped in this shell, but it was twisting her thoughts more than she liked, making her slower for one. In her heyday, she would have dodged that. Blasted humanoid form! Wait, where had Naruto gone? The last thing she remembered was that inferno blast of heat and pain for the first time. She looked down only for a fresh scowl to writ her features. Why was she in someone's bed? Has she landed here? Someone grabbed Kurama's hindquarters. Hey! A sleepy voice drawled. Who's the broad? You've got a nice asterisk hick asterisk ass. I done remember ordering a stripper. Her eyes bulged. There was an imp trapped beneath her, grinning blearily up at her. As she balked down at him, he sleepily slapped her ass again. Hey, wait, you're not Verusuka? In hindsight, she knew it wasn't his fault. The little bastard looked and smelled like he was drunk off of his ass, not to mention half asleep. She'd likely crash-landed through this building onto him when that fireball blew her and Naruto apart, thereby absolving him of any guilt in the matter. However, this body had a tendency to get rather emotional when touched by others. The result, some might say, was practically preordained. The fox absolutely hissed. Die! Poor Blitzo did not, in fact, die. Given the chaos followed, it was not a mercy. 0.0, 0.0. Naruto dragged himself out the rubble just in time to see a shrieking imp rocket across the horizon. Poor bastard soon vanished, sailing out of sight, not to be seen for the rest of the day. Naruto sighed. Saw that coming. Kurama was fine, clearly. But was he? Dusting himself off, he reluctantly rose, shaking the dust free from his hair as he went, patting out little fires all across his body. No broken bones, no blood, just a faint singing. He'd been right to dodge at the last second there, after all. His wings bloomed behind him in a glow of gleaming gold, further confirming that he was unharmed, if a bit dirty. Bemused, he beat them once to clear the smog of dirt and dust around him. From there, he craned his neck, cracked it once to work out a kink, searching for his foe. Now where'd he run off to? He was still speaking when Morningstar barreled into him from the side, howling obscenities. He could scarcely make sense of them all. He was far too focused on the storm of fists that followed. A flaming punch snapped his head to the side, followed by a left, right, then left again, battering him about like a leaf in the storm. For an angel, Lucy knew how to throw to punch. He took each blowhead, accepted them with nary more than a grunt, and finally deigned to retaliate. Sliding to the right, he caught the next punch, twisted Lucy's right arm aside to reel him in, and slammed a fist into his torso. Morningstar buckled and spat golden blood but didn't admit defeat. His tail slashed out overhead, striking between his wings to carve him across his cheek, blinding him in one eye. It healed a moment later, but the damage was done, allowing another flaming punch to dent his cheek. He lashed out with one of his own, sending Lucy careening into the burnt-out shell of a car. He grabbed it and whipped it his way almost immediately. 3 wings cut through it with ease, only for him to barrel through the severed halves and tackle him headlong. Really, he tried, but Morningstar was just so damn short. In the end, he ended up forcing a grapple between them. And what a grapple it was. They clasped hands and strained against one another, foreheads colliding in a shower of sparks once, twice, thrice. Wings slashed out to inflict grievous wounds as the ground cracked, splintered, shattered between them, forming a looming crevasse from which there could be no return. The very foundations of the underworld itself seemed to tremble around them. Charlie's father, the king of hell itself, leered up at him furiously. "Why won't you give up?" he laughed. "Give up on telling me to give up, old man." A headbutt broke his nose, but he didn't budge. "Old? That's the part you're upset about." Charlie's father was strong, he could admit that much. Stronger than Emily, stronger than Sierra, far above Adam. Whatever had landed him down here, he clearly hadn't been slacking. Or maybe he had, and he was simply just this strong after letting himself go. The latter was more likely, if he was being entirely honest with himself. How strong was he in his prime? Scary thought. Exciting thought. Fun thought. And yet, why are you smiling? Because, he beamed back, you're the first person here to make me bleed. His body burned for a fight, to continue the battle and finish what he'd started, to conquer this place. Something stopped him. Charlie would be sad if he hurt her father more than this, wouldn't she? The thought of making her cry more than once. Yeah, that didn't sit right with him. Letting go, he let Lucy stumble past and willfully ignored the opening he left. Tucking all 10 wings in behind him, he sat down, crossed both legs beneath him, and laid his hands on his knees. From there, he pressed his forehead to the ground in what he hoped resembled a classic Dogeza position of contrition. "I'm sorry." Morningstar scowled at him, still all fire and wrath. "What are you playing at?" "Success!" He'd gotten him to pause. Now came the tricky part. Daring to raise his head, he sat back up and smiled. "I think there's been a misunderstanding." Lucy shook a fist at him and snarled out a laugh. "Oh ho ho, listen, pal. The only misunderstanding here is what I'm going to do to your face with my fist." That was a terrible pun, and you should feel bad. Morningstar scowled. "Says serious little bitch." Realization dawned. Wait. Did you say Sarah?" His brow furrowed. "I knew it. She tattled on me, didn't she?" "So what if she did?" I didn't hurt your daughter," he snapped back, bringing him up short. "Not intentionally, at least. I guarantee you she cried because of Vaggie, not me. And for the record," flinging up a finger, he nearly flipped him off, then thought better of it. "I haven't, and am no, I ever, nor will I ever be Sarah's bitch. If anything, she's afraid of me. I'm down here because I want to be, not the other way around." The king of the underworld paused. "You're bullshitting me." "Check with your contacts, then." He shrugged a shoulder. "It shouldn't be hard to find the truth." On a whim, he kept going. And technically, you're her bitch for believing her and going after me in the first place. Lucy choked. I'm nobody's bitch. And yet, here you are, doing her work for her. He planted his chin against a fist. She wants me gone. Who else but you could do it? His glowing red eyes dimmed, if only momentarily, but the rough tenor in his voice didn't. So you expect me to believe what, that you came down here by yourself? Yep. And you didn't fall? I still have my halo, my wings aren't red, and no horns, so I would say, yeah. He offered him his hand. Look, I really think we got off on the wrong foot here. Let's let bygones be bygones. Water off of duck's back, how's that sound? Ironically, it was the last sentence that finally broke through to the king of the underworld. Did you just make a duck pun? I may have, yes. He bit back a snicker. You know, I used to have this teammate whose hair was literally shaped like a duck's butt. I used to tease him all the time about it. A snicker followed, and with it he felt his anger flagging. You're joking. I'm not, he laughed, unable to help himself as he carved out the shape with his hands and a stream of golden light to create a near-perfect likeness of his old friend-turned-adversary. See? The laughter that followed was hoarse, raspy, genuine. It was also a bridge to forging peace between them. So let me get this straight. You and Sarah aren't... Disgust boiled up his throat. Bah! Naruto made a noise, akin to a buzzer, crossed both arms before his face, in the shape of an X, and firmly shook his head for good measure. I can't stand her. Hypocritical bitch! I came down here to see what this place was like by myself. Nobody sent me but, well, me. I get it now? Morningstar scrutinized him for a long, awful moment. You're new. It all makes sense. Huh? You can tell? You're like me, aren't you? Charlie's father babbled on, excitement overtaking his anger. You've got ideas, dreams. You want to make things better, and you make duck puns. Yes to the first two, coincidence on the third, he supposed. I guess. Morningstar latched on both his hands, grinning toothily from ear to ear. Did we just become best friends? Laughter burst out of him. Mission failed successfully? I think so. Charlie was going to freak out. Wait! Kurama came staggering up to them, dirty and exhausted, torn shorts clinging to her hips for dear life. What's this? Don't tell me I missed the fight! Naruto scratched the back of his head. Hate to say so, but yeah. No. She rocked up to him with a near-feral hiss, tails thrashing angrily behind her back. I am tired, I am sore, I am dirty, my outfit is ruined. Worse yet, some bastard imp groped me and I'm still no closer to escaping this foul form. I am owed recompense. Naruto planted a fist on his hip. What do you want me to do about it? Carry me! Excuse me? You're excused, Tilda. He had an instant to realize what the heck his old comrade was on about before she abandoned all pretenses and outright jumped him. Even with his superior reflexes, he barely managed to catch her, securing one hand beneath her knees and the other against her back. The moment he did, she used all four tails to drape around his shoulders, effectively latching on like a limpet. Believe it or not, those tails of hers were surprisingly heavy. Don't you dare say it! Say what? He pointedly looked away from the beautiful, nearly naked woman in his arms. I didn't say anything. You were thinking it. She pinched the exposed skin of his chest. I didn't ask to be this thick. Not a word from you, Lucy. Stepping up, Morningstar tilted his head. So are the two of you? Are the two of us what? You know, he gestured wildly. Like that? That? Lucy drew out his hands. That! Oh. Naruto's bravado died with a ponderous wheeze. Not a chance. I've been dealing with this psycho for years. I'd sooner gargle rocks. Still holding a beautiful woman there, buddy. Kurama sputtered and spat indignantly. It's not my fault. Blame this infernal shell of mine. The blonde sighed. It's called a body, Kurama. Nonsense! She slapped his chest with a regal hug. You carried me before. This is no different. He didn't miss the faint flush of pink in her cheeks. As such, you are going to carry me back to the hotel and you're going to help me clean up. A bath is in order, and a hairbrushing besides. My tails are ruined! Had she always been this demanding? And what do I get out of this? A tail smacked his forehead. I stopped kicking your sorry ass, for one. Bitch, that was a draw at best, and you damn well know it. Perhaps. Perhaps not. We'll need a rematch to decide. Kurama grinned up at him, and against all odds, he found himself returning it. It was too much. His emotions finally got the better of him. Naruto couldn't help himself in the end. He started laughing. Chapter 12, as I thought. It's rough. Like a dry wilderness. You're not very good at this, are you? Oh, shut up. It's not like you have any experience in this either. I suppose that's true. Hey, it's cold, so maybe one more. Just one more. One more. More! Tilda. One more time. Heaven lay in utter disarray. Angels flew hither and yon, babbling madly. Souls scarpered about, screaming, demanding to know what was happening. Seraphim questioned one another and found no answers. All the while, the archangels remained silent. Sarah had no answers for them, nor anyone. Instead, she was tasked with taking stock of the damage, clearing the rubble, what little hadn't fallen to the underworld below, and commencing repairs. At least 3 towers had been damaged by the blast from the underworld, and while there were neither casualties nor injuries to speak of, Creator be praised, the psychological damage proved more severe. People were afraid. Heaven was stable. Heaven should be secure. Heaven had been created as safe haven. Yet now there was a hole in the barrier between realms, one she didn't know how to repair. Worse, Emily refused to leave her room. None could breach the barrier she had erected. She was meant to bring happiness and joy to their people, but in her absence all they felt was anger and fear. What could she do? What should she do? Morningstar was meant to be her solution. Instead, he'd made things worse. How had everything been turned against her? When did this suffering become so endless? When had she become estranged? Did she need to change? An awful thought occurred to her as she gazed upon the ruined towers before her. Perhaps, had she just let Uzumaki be, none of this would have happened. Her pride bridled at such thought, prickling at the very notion, yet she couldn't deny it. But to even entertain the notion meant this was, that it might be, that it must be. She didn't know, maybe she did. What if I'm the monster? She whispered to herself. What if I'm in the wrong? What if I'm the problem? Biting her lip, she reached a hand out to the rubble and flinched. Is this my fault? She rejected the notion immediately. No, she wasn't the monster here. Uzumaki. This was his doing, she just knew it. High above her, something in the heavens shifted with a sigh. 0.0, 0.0. The pain paused. Adam immediately took a chance to catch his breath and unclench his muscles. It felt like he'd been slowly suffocating for eons now, his torment unceasing. Time had long since ceased to hold any meaning for him. There was only pain, punishment, that single word burning through him as his soul shuddered, and his wings were racked with torment. Yet now it had ceased. Groaning, he dared to creak an eye open. Make it stop, no more, please. Have you learned your lesson, my child? Adam nearly wept. Lesson? What lesson? Was there supposed to be a lesson in all this? It seems not. No matter. Another of my children requires guidance. You will grant it unto her. Do so, and I shall grant you a reprieve. Who the fuck are you talking about, you Aragar? More pain, harsher than the last, snatched the breath from his lungs. Language. I speak of Sarah. Go to her. Guide her away from the path she walks, before she does something foolish. But what about extermination? Damn it! Lightning lashed his spirit, leaving him curled inward on himself, yowling in pain. Ow! Ouch! Okay. Stop! I get it. I give. What's the message? Blasted big guy burned it into his brain. Loot was gonna be hella pissed, but he'd happily chop off his own arm if it meant getting out of this prison. If that meant playing nice for now, well, it sucked, but anything was better. He'd take probation over this zappy zaps any day, so long as it got him out of here. I find your lack of faith disturbing. Adam felt the looming spectre of pain again and yelped, warding both hands before his face. It was a joke! Sheesh! All right, I give. I'll be good. So long as you hold to that, you may awaken my wayward child. For now. Mind your punishment. Wait, my what? It was like a spell had been broken. A weight left his soul. Adam thrashed his way awake in bed. Looked down at himself. Frowned in disbelief. What the shit? 0.0, 0.0. Vox surveyed the destruction, right eye twitching. An entire city block laid low, the street upended, holes smashed through multiple buildings, the scent of angels and brimstone in the air. Bad enough, Alastor had made a fool of him just now and knocked the power out to half the ring. But this? He'd never seen something like this, not in all his years down here. The stories were all over the place. 2 angels? No. A fox and a demon and a 10-winged one. None of it made a lick of sense. Was it one of the sins? No way, they were flashier about this. He hadn't heard anything about a turf war either. Folks had seen Morningstar fighting some bastard and his bitch, but nobody knew who. Only a madman would do something like that. Either way, it was a disaster. Yet disasters often brought opportunity, didn't they? He spoke from experience on that front. Couldn't he use this? After all, Misery loved company, and misery was his business. His static visage flickered as he considered the ruined rubble. A building collapsed as he looked on. Heh! A toothy grin bloomed across his flat face. All right, wise guy, butt his way in on my turf, will he? He had eyes and ears all over the city. He'd find his answers, even if had to bribe the entire ring. Snarling, he turned to face his allies. Valentino. Velvet. I want everything we have on this guy and his bitch. Now! 0.0. Daddy's home Tilda. Had he a hat, Naruto would have tugged its brim over his eyes to avert his gaze from the spectacle that followed. Lacking any such implement, and currently carrying Kurama in his arms, he merely rolled his eyes towards the ceiling as Lucy came swaggering into Charlie's hotel like he owned the place. What? Which, to be fair, he probably did, all things considered. Short bastard owned a ton of real estate down here, apparently, including this hotel. Lucy, nope. He refused to call him by his real name, was actually a pretty swell guy, once you got to know him. Sure, he was a little awkward, maybe, somewhat depressed, and with a penchant for all things ducks, but other than that, he seemed all right. Now, however, he strutted about with a dapper spring in his step, cane twirling in one hand, grinning as though he were on top of the world. Where is everybody? He craned his neck, noting the complete and utter lack of, well, anyone. Place is a ghost town. Didn't you say there were people here? Vaggie gave him an arch look, but didn't dare disrespect Charlie's father. There usually are. Naruto sighed, his mind elsewhere. He hadn't failed to notice the absence of a certain succubus. Verusica, once more, stubbornly decided to wait at the door. She simply refused to enter the hotel for reasons he couldn't entirely understand. Nothing he said could make her enter, and short of carrying her, when his arms were already full, there was simply no way of making her enter. Honestly, it was more than a little vexing. Pretty boy Tilda! Without missing a beat, he casually caught Nifty by the scruff of her neck with one of his wings as she leaped from the chandelier. Leaving her dangling there, he fixed her with a flat stare. She grinned at him, lone eye blinking madly. You came back. I thought I wouldn't get to see you again. He chuckled at the mad little monster. Not going to stab me this time? Nope, Tilda. You're my favorite. Kurama bared her teeth and latched on hard. Mine. Naruto blinked, baffled. Yours? You heard nothing. Naturally, Alastor's mini-minion didn't miss a beat and turned a tooth grin on the kitsune. Oh, you're new. Can I stab you? All 9 of her tails bridled, burning with hellfire. It will be the last thing you ever do. Message received. Tilda. Nifty, focus. Naruto snapped his fingers before her face, demanding her attention. Where is everyone? She touched a finger to her chin. Well, angel dust is working. Vaggie gagged when Naruto gave her a questioning look. Don't ask. Ignorance is bliss. Also, Husk drank until he blacked out. He's sleeping behind the bar. Sandmaster went out! The tiny demon clapped her hands. He needed his suit repaired after Pentius ripped off a piece. Lucy quirked a brow. Who? Oh! Nifty vaulted off his wing and latched onto his coat, grinning from ear to ear. Ultimate bad boy. Her eye narrowed. You're kinda short. Ha! Ha 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 ha. He knew Morningstar was less than pleased because the little bastard deliberately pronounced each laugh. Would you like to be kinda dead? Nifty gulped. No, please. Naruto exhaled heavily. Lucy, please don't kill the help. Sure thing, best buddy. Dad? Nifty saw her chanced, bounced off Lucy and bounded away. Oh, there's Charlie. Time to clean Tilda. Vaggie dove behind him. Charlie must have heard the ruckus they were making, because the dazed girl scrambled down the stairs at speed. Bless her pure little heart. Naruto rolled his eyes, but stood his ground, content to let her have her little reunion like the simple soul she was. He still wasn't quite sure where the whole soul basis bought into things here. After all, she was born down here, child of 2 incredibly powerful beings, and yet, despite that, or perhaps in spite of it, she was pure. Like Emily. He missed Emily. It hadn't even been a full day. Kurama poked his chest and coughed pointedly. Right. He was daydreaming again, with one last longing look toward the heavens above and the peace they offered. He turned his gaze back to focus on the matter at hand. Are you even doing here? Charlie was babbling, arms flailing as she broke free from her father's hug. I didn't expect you. You didn't even call. Lucy laughed nervously. Oh, I was in town and thought I'd surprise you. Dad! He'd never seen a father blanch so fast. Anyway, he spun about, grabbed him by the wrist and dragged him in against his side, accidentally reeling Kurama in with him as he did. Meet my new bestie. His daughter balked, utterly out of sorts. Dad, what? Never you mind that. Naruto squirmed free with a huff, reached around behind himself and heaved. Here, one runaway angel as ordered. Vaggie scooted forward, arms tucked behind her back, hands clasped. Charlie froze. Vaggie's feet practically grew roots. Hey! Charlie winced, blinked, then noticed something that hadn't been there before. Several somethings, actually. Your eye! Yeah, she turned away red-faced. I kinda got it back. And you have wings now too? Were you hiding them somewhere, or… There's a story behind that. Kurama rolled her eyes. Such children. Kiss her already. Charlie heard her voice and rounded on her, easily distracted. You got me a guest? Kurama's ears flattened atop her head. Guest? I mean, Charlie talked right over her, energetic as ever. She's been in and out of here a time or two. I think she's friends with Alistair. If looks could kill, she would be ashes in the wind. We are not friends. But she never really stayed here, so… welcome to the hotel. She tried valiantly. Bold of you to assume I need redeeming, child. Naruto coughed into a fist. Aren't we forgetting someone, Charlie turned back to Vaggie. Charlie wilted a little, uncertain of what to say. In the end, she felt back on her tried and true method, being herself. So, she scuffed a shoe against the floor. I'm sorry I shouted at you. Vaggie diverted her gaze, idly toying with a strand of pale hair. And I'm sorry I lied. Can I touch your wings? Like father, like daughter, he swore. Vaggie facepalmed. Seriously? That's the first thing you ask? Charlie squirmed in place, anxiously wringing her hands. Please, 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 Tilda. With a put-upon sigh, Vaggie flared her wings. Fine! Charlie squealed and promptly began petting them. Ooh, so soft. Now it was the Fallen's turn to squirm. Babe, please, that tickles. They're sensitive. Don't care. Must touch? Okay. Lucy tapped his cane against the floor. I've seen all I need to see. If anyone needs me, I'll be at the bar, doing bar stuff. Drinking, you mean? Yeah, that. I'm entirely too sober for this. Your bath. Kurama coughed, commanding attention. Where is it? Charlie paused. Oh, we've got one upstairs. With hot water, I trust. Yup, Tilda. I was going to take one, but then you guys got back and… Hush, chatterbox. Kurama held up a hand, considered her for a moment now. And then, much to Naruto's surprise, she began to pat her head, smiling fondly as she stroked her hair. Be nice to your angel. She means well. Charlie's face went red. Vaggie sputtered. Did you just back me up? Kurama huffed and lifted her chin. I haven't the foggiest idea what you mean. In any case, the bath awaits. Take me there this instant. Naruto resisted the urge to drop her on the off chance that she might actually be hurt. You have legs, you damn dirty fox. Your feet can't possibly hurt that bad. They do indeed, she huffed, kicking her long legs in the air. Hence why you must carry me. That's not… You know what, forgot it. He sighed. I'm still not giving you a bath. She quirked a brow. What's wrong? Scared? You cheeky little… Charlie tilted her head with a sigh and palmed her cheek. They're a cute couple. Naruto's resultant shout shook the building. We are not a couple. 0.0.0. Kurama levered herself into the bath with a blissful sigh. Submerging herself deeply, she stretched both arms above her head, luxuriating in the warmth of the water. It did fascinating things to her breasts. Naruto did his best to avert his gaze from the latter, but he couldn't ignore the noises she made. A bar of soap whistled his way. He caught it, glared at her now. Well? She tilted her head, one arm over her bountiful bosom, not quite looking his way. What are you waiting for? He flinched. Why was he hesitating? It was just Kurama. Scared. A muscle jumped in his jaw. He'd never been one to back down from a challenge. Bitch! He began washing her back with gusto. How's this? She squeaked and squirmed, giggling girlishly. Not so rough. My skin is sensitive. You're tickling me. He tweaked one of her ears. You were saying? I'm not sorry. Pinched her now. I'm sorry, Tilda. That's what I thought. People and souls as a whole were squishy. If he wasn't careful with them, they tended to go squish if he wasn't careful. Take Carmine's men, for instance. Kurama, even in this form, was sturdy. We've been together a long while, haven't we? Her voice became oddly soft as he washed her. You aren't the longest host I've had, yet you're undoubtedly my favorite. There was the old man, followed by Mito Uzumaki and your mother after that. But you and I, we fought like cats and dogs, didn't we? He chuckled. We really did. Oh, she suddenly sounded very small. Was I that bad? Nah. He briefly clasped both hands behind his head to dry them. Sure, you caused trouble for me, but you saved me life a bunch of times, too. Idiot. She drew her knees into her chest. If you died, I died. Yet here we are. So we are. It truly is strange possessing a human shell like this. She took a moment to marvel at one of her hands as he began washing her back anew. I can experience the world as I haven't before, without fear of breaking it with my very presence. Shame it's down here in the underworld, eh? Indeed. Her head bobbed in agreement. What's heaven like? Bright. Noisy, but also kind of peaceful. And there's this girl, Emily. You'd like her, I think. Kurama's ears drooped. He wondered why, but she didn't give him time to. You don't seem to understand, she said. There's another reason I want out of this body, and that would be you. Me? He squawked unhappily. What did I do? You died. She rounded on him, splashing water in his face, so furious that he couldn't look away. There were tears in her eyes. You died and left me alone in the dark. Her voice hitched. Then I fell down here, got trapped in this infernal shell. I feel emotions so strongly now, and I hate them. I hate them, I hate them, I hate them. This is all your fault. Didn't you die too? One of her tails battered his head. It's no fault of mine. This infernal body and its hormones are driving me mad. See you now why I want out of it. Because you're weaker. Precisely. She splashed at the water, furious. I don't feel all that weaker in the physical sense of the word, but that bastard backhanded my Bijudama. Or he could just be that powerful. Or you could be full of shitga. She bit her thumb with a curse. See what I mean? It's these emotions. She clutched a hand between her boss, growling under her breath. They weaken me. They ruined me. I detest them. Everything is so amplified, so sensitive. Is it that bad? You don't know what it's like. She hunched over, clutching her shoulders. Being trapped in a body not your own, bombarded by all these strange sensations, to feel desire for the first time in an age. He laughed, not quite comprehending. Well, you were a pretty grouchy bitch before we had our talk. She jerked an elbow back, ribbing him. Please, you only won me over because I allowed you to. Yeah, after I kicked your ass. What was that? She sprang to her feet, shedding water as she went. Naruto clapped a hand over his eyes. A clothes woman? I am not a woman. Your body says otherwise. Her eyes practically glowed, tails thrashing furiously behind her, scattering beauty products to the floor with a harsh clatter. Careful now, I'm not going above going round 2 with you, bub. Why are you so eager to fight, eh? Because I'm still pissed at you. She jabbed a finger into his cheek, tweaking it painfully. You left me. The words tore out of her in a shout. How did it feel, living the good life up there while I was trapped down here? He winced despite himself. I didn't know. You should have. She smacked his chest with an angry hiss. The blow stung less than her words. We are partners, you and I. Had the situation been reversed, I would have ruptured reality itself to find you. But you took your sweet time finding me. He chuckled, more than a little chagrined. I am sorry for that, you know. I know. So speaking, she drew back, chest-heaving eyes up, and glared bloody red daggers at him, burying her head in his chest as she grabbed his shoulders. Wow, he whistled. You weren't kidding about being emotional. It's this body, she hiccuped unhappily, whining a little. I feel far more strongly in this form, and my emotions run amok. It's just, do you love me? Where had that come from? He guffawed, incredulous at the question. What kind of question is that? Of course I do. You're my buddy, my pal, my partner. Well, yeah, that too. He began toweling off her hair as he spoke, trying to distract herself. You've been a part of my life for so long now. I couldn't imagine living it without you. She was trembling. Why? Had he said something wrong? Shrugging, he continued. I really am glad I found you again, you know. At length, the kitsune sighed and battered his hands. Not the answer I was looking for. Turn around. He did, and in his peripheral vision saw her struggle back into her ill-fitting shorts. Her top was still ruined, so she donned a large, fuzzy red bathrobe and clutched it close around herself. You may turn around now. The garment hung over her head, draped over her body like a veil. His throat closed. Sorry, she glowered at him, indignant. Really not used to this body of yours. His heart was beating so damn fast. Naruto? Stop it. He covered his eyes with one hand. Don't look at me like that. She dragged his hand away, forcing him to see her. Like what? Ah! His body had enough of her torment. He moved without thinking. In an instant, he had her pinned against the wall, one knee between her legs, pushing into her hips. She growled and grabbed his wrist, stomping down on a foot, but made no effort to extricate herself from him. Instead, eyes flitted up to his, then down to his lips. You shouldn't. Don't get attached to me. Not like this, was what she said, but she was leaning into him, twining a leg within his. Damn it! This wasn't lost. He could say that safely. He'd always loved her. But it had been more of a platonic sort of thing, the love one might have for a best friend, a rival turned ally, a comrade who fought beside you in battle. It was always a distant, dim feeling, one he'd taken for granted. Until he died. Until Kurama vanished. Until he found his partner again. Now the sight of her like this, trembling against him, looking like that, in that body. He couldn't control himself. He wanted to hold her, to touch her, to chase away all her fears and let her know she was loved, that he'd never leave her alone again. Perhaps she felt something similar, else she would have broken free by now. I really do love you, you know? Her face went red and her ears drooped atop her head. Idiot! Don't say it aloud! But didn't you want me to? Idiot, idiot, utter idiot. Averting her gaze, she mumbled something else under her breath. That you too. He tilted his head. What was that? I said I love you too. She beat against his chest with an angry wail. Happy now? Are you going to keep holding me like this and driving me crazy, or... Their lips met. The breach between them closed. Someone moved first. In hindsight, he never knew who. Kurama hummed and drew back with a startled gasp, smacking her lips. As I thought. That was rough. She touched a finger to her mouth, pink in the cheeks, utterly adorable. Like a dry wilderness. You're not very good at kissing, are you? Heat spiked through his face. Oh, shut up. It's not like you have any experience in this, either. She laughed a little. I suppose that's true. Say, it's cold out, so maybe one more. No need to say more. He met her halfway, lips covering hers. She buckled against him and dropped the bathrobe, breasts pressing into his chest, flinging her arms around his neck. She held on for dear life as he stepped in and pushed her back into the bath. Water sloshed everywhere but barely noticed. He was too busy hooking his fingers in the waistband of her shorts, dragging them down to expose her hindquarters. She kicked them off with gusto, practically tearing them apart in her haste to free herself, only to gasp as he grasped her rear and drew her close to him. She rumbled against his chest, making a noise vaguely akin to a purr. That feels nice. Very, very nice, yes indeed. She guided his hands to her breasts, allowing him to caress her bountiful mounds, rubbing soapy suds in. Is this what intimacy feels like? A gasp parted her lips as her back arched. Touch me more, please. Don't stop. He drew back in the water and she came with him, nuzzling her nose against his. Her face was red, her eyes unable to meet his. Whether through shame or desire he knew not, until quite suddenly they did. She latched onto his face and kissed him furiously, tongue plundering his mouth until she had to breathe. Even then she barely drew back, nose nuzzling hers as she broke for blessed breath. If having a human body is this pleasurable, I want to experience everything. Kurama licked her lips and dove forward onto him, grinning as she pushed him down into the tub, tearing away his tunic as she went. From there she mounted him with intent, legs spread on either side of him to pin him in place. her tails wrapped around them, forming a crude blanket of sorts against the porcelain. Again, he didn't notice because she'd sprawled her body atop his, hands on his chest, nails digging deep. He'd have marks come morning. He didn't care. Neither did she. She mumbled something softly as she went down on him again for another kiss, hips moving against his. Just one more. Another kiss came. One more. A second now. More. 0.0. 0.0. Emily lifted her head from her pillow and sniffled once, drying her eyes with the back of her right hand. She had the strangest feeling her position as best girl was being challenged. Nonsense, she wanted to say. And yet the feeling persisted. She didn't like it. Not one bit. Nope. Chapter 13. Your second mistake was thinking this tactic would give you an advantage over me. Your first was your choice of target. Still worked, though, didn't it? Like a charm, I'd say. You do realize I'm gonna get you back for this. Worth it, Tilda. Tilda? What's the fuss? Why won't he die? Sarah stood at the edge of the celestial overlook, her arms crossed over her chest. The vast expanse of heaven stretched before her, golden spires gleaming beneath the endless sky. The world here was calm, orderly untouched by the chaos below. And yet, for the first time in centuries, she felt unsettled. Her gambit with Morningstar had failed. She'd not expected that. She was so certain it would work. But now she found herself more lost than ever. She had to do this. She had to remove him, or at the very least, bringing him back into line. For the good of heaven, for the good of all. For the good of her. A sudden migraine descended upon her temple, forcing a flinch. Grimacing, she touched a hand her forehead and glanced toward her halo. Was it just her imagination, or did it seem a bit dimmer than before? Did she feel a crack in the holy ring as she ran a finger over it? Nonsense, it must be a trick of the light, of her mind. She hadn't slept in a while. That might be the reason. But she couldn't afford to falter now. She mustn't. She was in the right. She had to be. She must be. Behind her, soft footsteps approached. Sarah. Emily's voice was quiet, hesitant, wary even. The young seraphim had always spoken with kindness, her words like the gentle ringing of chimes in the wind. But now there was an edge to her tone, one of doubt, of disbelief, disappointment. Tell me you didn't do what I think you did. Creator be kind, she knew. Or someone had told her. Sarah turned to face her. Emily, she said evenly. I know what you're thinking, but you must understand, You knew, Emily cut her off. You knew what would happen, didn't you? Sarah exhaled sharply, looking away. It was necessary. Emily took a step forward, searching Sarah's face for any sign of remorse. Necessary? You planned for this? Her voice wavered, confusion turning to sorrow. I don't understand. He trusted you. I trusted you. Sarah's jaw tightened. He was becoming a danger, Emily. I did what had to be done. But you didn't even try to understand him, did you? Emily's eyes shimmered with unshed tears. You always talk about duty, about protecting heaven, but what about protecting him? A hand flew up, touching her own neck in a moment of rare despair. What about protecting us? Sarah's lips pressed into a thin line. This is not about sentiment. Emily's hands fell, clenching into a fist at her side as her voice fell to a whisper. Maybe it should be. For a fleeting moment, Sarah hesitated. Then she reached out, resting a hand on Emily's shoulder. I know you're hurting, she said, her voice softer now, but this pain will pass. In time you will see. Emily slapped her hand away. Sarah recoiled, more from shock than pain. You don't get to do that, the smaller seraphim hissed, her sorrow eclipsed by a rising storm of fury. Don't tell me this will pass. Don't stand there and act like this was for the greater good. You did this! Her small hands trembled, her wings quivering as righteous fury burned in her eyes. The Emily that had always been gentle, always been patient, was nowhere to be found. You betrayed him. Sent Morningstar after him. Ah, she knew about that, did she? Sarah's expression darkened, her golden wings bristling. Mind your tone, child. You know not what you... No, no more of this. Emily stomped a foot against the clouds beneath them, sending a small shockwave through the sanctuary. I am so sick of you thinking you know best. He was right. You're all so blind, so stuck in your ways you refuse to see what's right in front of you. Sarah's glare could have melted steel. Watch your words, girl. Emily met her gaze without flinching. Or what? She challenged. You'll purge me, like you wanted to purge him. The accusation hit like a divine lance. Sarah flinched, her fingers twitching at her sides. Emily's voice cracked, but she refused to back down. I know you were just looking for an excuse, but now you don't have one. So what are you going to do, Sarah? Run away again? Or are you actually going to take responsibility? Silence stretched between them. And then, something inside Sarah snapped. Her pride would not suffer this indignity. Not from a fledgling seraphim. Not from anyone. If Naruto thought he could simply disappear and leave chaos in his wake, he had another thing coming. She would not stop. She couldn't. He must be stopped. By any means necessary. Even if that meant turning Emily against him. She would make her understand. She must. If you're so certain, then why don't you go look in on him yourself? This time, she made no effort to keep the waspish retort from her lips. Then you'll see him as I do. He's nothing more than a monster masquerading as magnificence, a being who would happily tear down the pearly gates themselves for his so-called morality. Look around you, Emily. She flung out a hand indicating the rampant chaos behind them. See what he has wrought. Heaven in chaos. Souls crying out for answers. The barrier pierced for the first time in age. What more proof do you need? There. Her piece was said. She wouldn't dare venture down into the depths now. An open palm struck her across the face, dented her cheek, and sent a tooth tumbling through the air. Because of you! Emily glared at her, golden halo flaring to life, burning like the sun. I'll show you, she seethed. I'll prove you wrong. With a single powerful beat of her wings, she launched herself downward, piercing through the ruined barrier of heaven and into the abyss below. The air around her burned as she descended, a fiery comet streaking down to the underworld, not as a fallen, but through her own volition. Sarah balked at the sight, her bluff broken. Emily! She made to dive after her, only for a hand to seize her by the shoulder and yank her back. Who dared? Hold on there, missy. An unfamiliar voice drawled, rooting her where she stood. Can't let you do that. I mean, I wish I could, but I can't. Big man's orders. The voice was not the same, nor was the body, but the tone, she knew it well. Incredulous, she rounded on them with a snarl, only to balk. Adam, is that you? Why do you look like... She couldn't get the words out. Just what was going on? Like this? A roll of the eyes was her reward as a pale hand flitted up and down. Long story short, the big man did it, and I'm stuck like this till I do my damn job. Speaking of which, where's Loot? We need to talk. 0.0. Wake up! Naruto groaned as consciousness slowly returned to him in fits and spurts, leaving his head pounding like he'd gone 10 rounds with Tsunade after calling her grandma again. The dim, flickering light above did little to help his situation. He squinted up the ceiling tiles, confused. Where the hell was he? Something warm and heavy pinned him down, and as he shifted slightly, he felt the telltale weight of someone's naked body draped over his. Kurama. The kitsune lay sprawled over him, her unfurled tails covering half the damn room. Her loud, rumbling snores filled the air as her glorious chest rose and fell like some seriously soft mountain. Her body was all but draped over his, still slick and wet from the bath, wholly uncaring for her nakedness. His brow furrowed at that last bit. Why were they on a cold, tiled floor? Why did he feel like he'd been hit by a freight train? And why did his groin ache like someone had used him as a punching bag? Then he remembered. His eyes bulged. Oh, damn. Panic was his first instinct, but he somehow managed to wrestle that down long enough to take stock of a situation. I had sex. We had sex. That actually happened. All right, calm down. Take a breath. It wasn't as though they'd done anything wrong, per se. Afterlife or not, he was still a guy. She was a girl. Her body was very much of the female persuasion at the moment. No offense to guys, but he liked girls, enjoyed women, and infinitely preferred Kurama's female form as a whole, thank you very much. Perhaps stirred by that very thought, she bit his neck in her sleep. Sharp teeth! Ow! He hissed out a breath, saw stars for a moment, bit his lip to stifle pained cry, and desperately pinched the scruff of her neck until she stopped. Unfortunately, that just made her cling on to him and nuzzle him harder. She was surprisingly honest in her sleep, and she felt so good against. Maybe it wouldn't be so bad if she stayed in this, bad thoughts? Very selfish thoughts. Still, probably best they get out of here before someone noticed. The door suddenly slammed open. "Hey, are you guys all right in here? Whoa, my goodness!" Charlie's delighted squeal hit Naruto like a thunderclap. He barely had time to sit up before she materialized in front of him, her golden eyes alight with childlike wonder, her entire body vibrating with excitement. "Vaggie! Come quick! Get the camera!" "Camera?" Naruto's brain screeched to a halt. A second later, he found himself face to face with Charlie, who was all but bouncing in place, clasping her hands together as she beamed at Kurama like a child who had just been handed the world's fluffiest puppy. "Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh," she practically squealed. "You two are together! And her tails are even fluffier than before. Why didn't you say so sooner?" Kurama let out a deep, tired groan, barely cracking open one glowing red eye before promptly shoving her face into her tails. "5 more minutes, brat," she muttered, voice muffled by her own appendages. "Nope," Charlie chirped. "You're up now, missy." Naruto could only watch in absolute disbelief as the Princess of Hell poked and prodded at Kurama's tails, her excitement unfazed even as one lazily swatted her away. Before he could begin to process this insanity, the door banged open again, and Vaggie stormed in, already looking 2 seconds away from strangling someone. "Charlie, what are you—" She stopped, froze, saw them sprawled on the floor, naked. Her eye twitched. Slowly, painstakingly, she dragged a hand down her face, exhaling a long, suffering sigh. "Nope, not my problem." Naruto scowled. "What the hell is that supposed to mean?" "It means," Vaggie said flatly, "that whatever bullshit you got yourself into again is not my responsibility." She pointed at Charlie. "She can deal with it." "Deal with what?" Naruto demanded, throwing his hands up in a vain attempt to lie. "I don't even know how I got here." From the hallway, a familiar, gravelly voice chimed in. Yeah, that's what they all say." Naruto turned his head just in time to see Husk leaning against the doorframe, his usual drink in one hand, an unimpressed look on his face. The old cat demon took a long sip before arching a brow. "So?" Husk drawled. "What the hell did you do this time?" Naruto sputtered. "Why do you people always assume it's my fault? Somebody slap a sign on my back or something." Husk just snorted. "Kid, every time some new nonsense happens around here, you're in the middle of it," Vaggie huffed. For once, I actually agree with Husk. Charlie, meanwhile, was far too busy trying to snuggle one of Kurama's tails to participate in the conversation. Naruto let out a long, exasperated sigh, pinching the bridge of his nose. "You saw nothing." "Really?" "'Cause I'm fairly certain I saw you saw nothing." Kurama finally stirred, lazily sitting up, stretching one arm before lazily lifting her head. It did amazing things to her chest. Her crimson eyes flickered to Naruto, then to the others, before she let out a jaw-popping yawn that shook the entire room. Only then did she look down and become aware of her nakedness. Her eyes widened. Narrowed. Closed now. "I blame you." Naruto's eye twitched violently. "Why?" Kurama flopped back down atop him, clearly unbothered, and laid a kiss upon his cheek. "Because it's always your fault. Now take responsibility." Charlie, still buried in her tails, let out a dreamy sigh. "Worth it," she murmured. Vaggie groaned. Husk took another sip of his drink. Naruto, for the first time in his life, genuinely considered screaming into the void. Elsewhere in hell, where sanity goes to die. Hell was a place of torment, damnation, and eternal suffering. But at this particular moment, it was a place of absolute chaos. Meanwhile, Vox's hideout. Vox groaned, rubbing his temples as he shouted into the room. "For fuck's sake, can we focus? Pentious! Get your ass in gear, we've got work to do." From across the room, an exaggerated, haughty voice rang out. "Ahem! That's Sir Pentious to you, you uncultured, pixelated relic." Vox shot him a deadpan look. "Shut up before I put your head on a spike, snake boy." "Rude!" Before Vox could argue further, Velvet practically exploded into the room, her energy dialed up to 11. Velvet practically vibrated with excitement, her usual manic energy cranked up to 11. She clapped her hands together, her grin widening like a kid about to unleash the best prank ever. Oh, I have a plan," she announced, bouncing on the balls of her feet. "Trust me, this is gonna be so much fun, Tild." Vox, already nursing a headache from everything happening around him, pinched the bridge of his nose. "That's what I'm afraid of." "Oh, come on, Voxy Tilda," Velvet crooned, slinging an arm around him. "Have a little faith." "That," he deadpanned, is the last thing I have in you. Oh, ye of little faith tilled. Velvet twirled away dramatically before pointing a finger toward the ceiling. Now, here's the deal. We're gonna need explosives, confetti, and a giant rubber chicken. There was a beat of silence. Pentious, despite himself, sounded intrigued. What size rubber chicken are we talking about? Fox threw his hands up. Why is this my life? And just like that, hell continued to spiral further into absolute madness. Back at the hotel, Naruto was struggling. Not in a life-or-death battle, not against some terrifying enemy, but in trying to pry Charlie off Kurama's tails. Charlie, seriously get off of her! He grunted, yanking at the overly enthusiastic demon princess currently clinging to one of Kurama's massive tails like her life depended on it. But she's so soft, Tilda, Charlie whined, burying her face deeper into the thick fur. I want to live here. Her voice carried the giddy wonder of someone discovering a mythical creature for the first time. Can I sleep with you two from now on? I swear I'll be quiet. I don't snore at all. Naruto choked. Kurama inhaled reflexively as well. Poor innocent Charlie blinked once, blind to the byplay of what she'd just said. Vaggie wheezed in the background and clapped a hand over her suddenly bloody nose. Sleep with them? Babe, stop, you're gonna kill me. Naruto agreed for entirely different reasons. Him? With Charlie? Morningstar would be furious. Kurama's crimson eyes twitched dangerously. You have 3 seconds to remove yourself, whelp. Don't want a tild. Slitted eyes darkened. Naruto. Naruto sighed, already knowing that tone. Yeah? Control. Your companion. How was he to do that? Before he could reply, the doors suddenly burst open with enough force to shake the walls. A furious voice rang out. You! All heads snapped toward the entrance. Standing in the doorway, Emily loomed, wings flared, aura blazing, eyes filled with unholy fury. Naruto tensed. Here we go. But then, Emily's rage evaporated. Like a flame snuffed out by a strong breeze, her indignant expression completely changed the moment her gaze landed on Kurama. Her wings fluttered, her hands clasped together. Her entire aura of righteous fury melted into something akin to pure, childlike awe. Oh my goodness, look at you! Kurama froze. Naruto blinked. Wait, what? Emily practically skipped forward, her face lit up with uncontainable excitement, completely ignoring Naruto. Kurama's gaze narrowed immediately. Stay back! Emily paused for only a second, then tilted her head. She gasped, her bright eyes lighting up with excitement instead of fear. You can talk? No, never mind that. Can I pet your tails? A heavy silence fell over the room. Charlie gasped dramatically. You get it too? Emily nodded furiously. She's so majestic and elegant. And Kurama flared her tails outward in warning. You touch me without permission, and I will ensure that is the last thing your hands ever do. Naruto took a step back. I'd listen to her, she might actually do it. Charlie did not take the hint. Emily did not take the hint. Emily reached out. Wham! A single tail lashed out with precise, effortless force, swatting Emily's hand away like an insignificant fly. Emily stumbled back, eyes wide, but not offended. She looked amazed. Charlie gasped in admiration. Such grace! Such power! Kurama's face twitched violently. Her blazing red gaze shifted toward Naruto. Fix this before I do. Naruto grinned. Oh no, you're on your own, princess. Kurama's eyes glowed ominously. A low growl rumbled in her chest, dangerous and final. Emily brightened again. Oh, so, if I ask permission, then I can pet your tails? Kurama's expression darkened. No, Emily pouted. Oh, just for a second, no. Charlie giggled, nudging Emily playfully. She's so tsundere. Kurama's tails lashed out again, intending to descend both Hellspawn and Angel alike, rolling across the floor. Unfortunately, in her haste to be rid of them, miscalculated. He supposed that was the word. In trying to shoo them away, she inadvertently brought her furred appendages a tad too close. Rather than retreat like any sane individuals, they dove on her tails. And that, as they say, was that. No escape for the poor Kitsuna. She was promptly tackled to the floor. Naruto leaned against the wall, watching the utter disaster unfold with barely contained laughter, until the doors crashed open again, flying free from their rusted hinges. A new figure stood in the archway, panting harshly, eyes ablaze. So this is what you've been getting up to in here? His every instinct howled danger. Fly, you fool. Naruto whirled and pressed himself flat against the nearest wall, his smirk long gone as he beheld the newcomer with the wariness of a cornered animal. Rightfully so, because Verusca Mayday stalked in, heels clicking against the floor, hips swaying, tail twitching behind her abundant backside. She took one look at Emily, Kurama, and Charlie, stared, swung her gaze back to him now. 6 quick strides devoured the distance between them. No escape. I thought you were actually working in here, but no. She clicked her tongue at him, practically stomping on his foot to pin him in place. You're just up and starting a harem. Some angel you are. Emily tilted her head. Harem? Explain. Verusca jabbed a finger into his chest. Quickly. Heat seared up the back of Naruto's neck for all the wrong reasons. It would have been child's play to bat her away, run her down and escape, but all those methods involved hurting her. And he'd never been one for excess violence unless provoked. And for all her ire, Verusca really wasn't much of a threat to him. Hardly any at all, really. Emily could probably trounce her with ease. Hence why he let his guard down around her so often. Not so close, will ya? He grumbled under his breath thoughtlessly. I'm ticklish. In hindsight, he really shouldn't have said that. Ticklish, you say? The succubus cooed, her glowing pink eyes alight with predatory glee. Is that so? He swallowed hard. Now hold on. Let's talk about this. Oh no, Angel Boy Tilda. She flexed her sharp, manicured claws with exaggerated slowness, her smirk widening. You have a debt to pay. You made me miss out on all this fun. Now owe me. And I just found the perfect method to collect Tilda. Surely she wouldn't attempt it, if only because she knew there'd be hell to pay later. For all the airs she put on, she wasn't that crazy. Unless? Verusca, don't you dare. Banzai Tilda. Naruto barely had time to curse before she pounced. A loud, strangled yell followed by undignified, wheezing laughter echoed through the hotel. Chapter 14. Someone you love, a reason to exist, a partner to come home to. Isn't that worth fighting for? You know the answer. Tilda? Still worth fighting for. Or is someone suffering from success, Tilda? Morningstar, I will harm you. Promises, Tilda. Naruto knocked back another drink at the bar, grimaced at the burn in his throat, and snatched up another. Now thankfully dressed, he'd somehow managed to escape from Verusca's tickling, and the resultant cuddle pile that followed and retreated to Husk's bar, leaving Kurama to her fate. Surprisingly, Morningstar was still there. Bastard could hold his liquor, 3 drinks in, and he was still going strong. He, on the other hand, was starting to feel it. Case in point, his forehead was presently making sweet, sweet love to the counter. You do realize that she's not going to stop, right? Naruto growled into the lacquer. Sarah. He groaned into the counter. Morningstar mistook that for acceptance and kept prattling on, too awkward to stop. I mean, she was always a bit uptight, but I've never seen her like this. You really must have put a bee in her bonnet, huh? Buster. I mean, really though, spinning up that nonsense just to make me to take you out. Oi. He turned his head a fraction of an inch to glare at him. You weren't winning that fight. Charlie's father grinned back, his smile all teeth. Neither were you, Tilda. He elbowed him to bow a veil. Bastard kept grinning. How'd she even get away with that anyway? I thought angels weren't supposed to. Lucy leaned one hand against his chin. Lie? Technically, she didn't. You did make my daughter cry, and I still haven't fully paid you back for that. Hey! He smacked him with one of his wings before could get uppity. We're not fighting again. Wasn't saying we should. Much to his relief, the Lord of the Underworld drummed his fingers against the counter, considering the matter further. She either wants you up there in line under her thumb, or you put away for good. Neither outcome seems very likely, to be honest. And he couldn't exactly lay hand on her for fear of upsetting Emily. Naruto squashed his face back into the counter instead. How long are you even going to hang out here anyway? Don't you have like an underworld to run? Lucy laughed, waving a hand in return. Oh, no. The rings themselves are most self-maintained these days thanks to the overlords and the sins. I have influence, sure, but they don't need me. What do you even do around here, then? Make ducks, be depressed, and reminisce about the good old days, mostly. The frank admission drew a slow blink from him. That's kinda disappointing. And here I thought you'd be scarier. A pale brow rose. That's not an invitation. Right! So, you and the fox. How did that happen? Lost? Realizing he couldn't drink his way out of that mess, Naruto reluctantly righted himself and planted both elbows on the counter. Husk whisked another drink his way, but didn't speak. No doubt the bartender was quietly curious as well in his own way. Wasn't like he had anything better to do at the moment either. Might as well oblige them. I've had that annoying furball with me for as long as I can remember, and she's been stomping around, killing people long before I was even born. Up came his arm, down went another drink. Believe it or not, we used to fight all the time and got in all sorts of trouble. There was a time where I absolutely thrashed that Fox Kurama hollered an angry shriek from upstairs. I heard that. But eventually, we resolved our differences, made up, and agreed to work together. He finished, summarizing what would have otherwise been a long story, chock full of angry explosions and outbursts of primal power that he found himself in no mood to relive. For me, Kurama is Kurama. Simple as that. When I died, I missed her, mourned her, thought she was gone. I didn't think I'd ever see again. Husk arched a fuzzy brow. And the fact that she currently has one hell of a rocking body. Heat speared up the back of Naruto's neck. All right, that helps, but my point stands. Lucy coughed into a fist. I hate to burst your bubble, but I'm pretty sure she's stuck like that. Maybe not much of a bubble burst. Not that he'd tell Kurama like that. What? Nothing against guys, but he preferred girls. Just the way it was, you know. Still, he owed to his partner to at least ask. What makes you say that? The afterlife has always been a bit quirky when it comes to the appearance of a soul. Charlie's father waffled a hand side to side before them, the better to emphasize his point. I'm sure you've seen some real odd-looking ones up in heaven, right? A few, he confessed with a rueful grin. Seen some strange ones down here too. Carmilla for one. Lucy perked up. Oh, you met her, huh? She's a feisty one. How'd that turn out? I may have fought her. That or it was a dance. Not sure. Husk hissed. You did what? Did I stutter? If we could focus, please. Lucy butted between them before they could come to blows. The point I'm making is this. Whether you go up there or down here, the appearance you wind up with is basically based on the life you lived beforehand, coupled with how you died. It's like flipping a coin. That form was either chosen for her, or she subconsciously chose it for herself. That's not exactly something you can just fix all willy-nilly. And even if you try, there's some pretty nasty consequences. Such as, his brow furrowed. You might end up killing her for keeps. Naruto's throat closed. Buddy, the rankings are about as follows. He held up 3 fingers and counted down off each. I'm at the top, sins are below me, overlords after, and every other mook beside. Husk huffed indignantly. Don't I know it? Used to be one back in the day? Before this? Now it was Naruto's turn to round on him. You? He drew himself up indignantly. What's that look for? I wasn't always Alastair's lapdog. Got a problem? Goes without saying. You know, Lucy played peacekeeper once again. I've never seen the offspring of a sinner and an angel before. Wonder what that would look like? Husk cackled in the background as Naruto nearly choked on his drink. Morningstar, say what now? I thought... Lucy's grin was decidedly of the shit-eating persuasion. Ordinarily, yeah. I don't think sinners can have kids, but she's clearly special, and obviously something else altogether. Really, I'm surprised Michael and the rest of the gang haven't gotten themselves involved. I mean, she's especially dangerous for a sinner. His brow drew down, if only because he didn't like that term. Sinner? Lucy shrugged. Why else would she be down here? You said it yourself, she killed people. Lots of people by the sound of it. Murder is pretty much a one-way ticket down here. Oi! He thumped a fist against the counter, denting it. She was literally a raging manifestation of chakra and anger. Also mind-controlled at the time. Lucy tilted his head and adjusted his hat. All the time? He already knew the answer, and his shoulders slumped with it. No. Maybe he should support Charlie's whole redemption shtick, if only to get Kurama out of the underworld. Lucy clapped him on the shoulder. There you have it. I'll be the first to say the system's kinda screwed up. But it does get some things right. Someone like you? He tilted his head toward the sky. You definitely belong up there. Same with that little seraphim over there. You're good. Pure. Whereas I... He tugged the brim of his hat down over his eyes to hide them from view. Or was, a dreamer. I fucked up, and because of that, I introduced evil into the world. For that, I was sent down here for... I deserve this. He sounded so sad. No. Don't get distracted. I'm still not entirely sure I count as an angel, he muttered, briefly flaring his 10 wings to glance back at them. I was able to pull off some pretty crazy stunts up there. Lucy reluctantly lifted his hat. Such as, should he say it? Would he even believe him? Well, I may have made heaven go dim. Husk fell out his chair. Meanwhile, Morningstar's already pale face had gone practically pallid. Even the rosy spots of his cheeks had lost their luster. I see. Naruto seized him by the shoulders. You know something, don't you? Way above my pay grade. He smacked his hands down, crossed both arms in the shape of an X. All the more reason for you to get your situation sorted with Sarah. I must have misheard you. He grit his teeth, fighting down the instinctual surge of righteous anger. Surely you're not telling me to just up and forgive her? Not at all, Lucy waved a gloved hand his way. In fact, I've got a guaranteed surefire way to calm her down. Naruto reluctantly leaned in, eager for an easy solution. I'm listening. Fuck her senseless. All the air departed Naruto's lungs at once in a forceful wheeze as he sprang to his feet. Ha! Lucy blinked, briefly befuddled. Oh, are the two of you not? No, he howled at the top of his lungs. Not once. Not a chance. Sorry, Lucy laughed a little, seemingly amused by his explosion of anger. I just assumed since you're apparently building yourself a harem down here, that two of you were, you know. We are not. Husk dragged himself up by the counter and promptly fell back down as Naruto accidentally clobbered him with his wings. Such was the sheer force of his disbelief. I would never. Lucy took his rebuttal in stride, the utter dastard. You'd be surprised. Sex does wonders for your mental state, as does the lack of about it. I've been married for ages, and I haven't seen my wife for the last few. That's called loyalty. There's a difference. There's certainly something. Lucy laughed, but while it wasn't bigger, it was tinged with a hint of pain, enough to give him pause. Say, you've got some pull-up at the pearly gates, don't you? I wouldn't exactly say that, but I'm tolerated up there for now. Why? Morningstar downed another shot. They've got one hell haha of an archive up there. You can use it to find almost anyone. Any chance you could yank some strings up there and find out where she went? I very much doubt your wife would be up in heaven. Well, she's not down here. Lucy slammed a fist into the counter, cracking it. I should know, I've looked. Either she's hiding or something happened to her. A grimace worked its way over his whiskered features. Do you think she might be dead? Lucy laughed just a little too quickly. Nope. Nuh-uh. Lilith can swing with the best of them, and she's tough as nails, despite her appearance. She might just be taking a vacation somewhere for all I know. In another realm? Maybe. Morningstar somehow managed to sound hopefully hopeless at the same time, if that was such a thing. Fine, I'll see what I can do. How could someone leave their husband and daughter behind anyway? He'd never understand people. You know, he drawled, sitting back down at the bar, I still maintain this isn't my afterlife. Heck, I'm not entirely sure how I died. I remember one version, and Kurama remembers another. Morningstar flopped an arm his way. Maybe you died separately? No, he shook his head. You don't understand. I was a Jinchuriki. If I died, she would die, but she would reform eventually. She can't die in the traditional sense of the word, but for me, death is still death. We shouldn't each remember a different one, and yet we do. It was a puzzle, to be sure, and he despised puzzles, especially when they hinted at something sinister. Maybe it's this afterlife, maybe something gotten mixed up somewhere. Lucy scoffed. It's an afterlife, that's for sure. His smile faded a moment later. You gonna try and fix it? That was the question, wasn't it? He shrugged. Not sure exactly how your kid has a bit of an idealized view of things. Lucy slumped his shoulders, wings tucking in. Yeah, I know. She might be right about some people. Just not all of them. Husk righted himself at last, saw a chance to get one over on his boss and took it. Definitely not Alistair. Alastor? Lucy squinted his way, slurring the words a little at long last. Fuck is that, a shampoo or something? Must not laugh. Annoying is what he is. He grabbed the bottle outright and necked it, reveling in the burn that followed. Always has to be the winner, always gotta get the last word in. Meh, I know the type. Much to his chagrin, Lucy changed tack on him just as he swallowed. So what's the story between you and that small seraphim? Naruto choked again, this time for an altogether different reason. Emily. His face lit up a little despite his best efforts to hide it. She's wonderful. Heck, she was the first face I saw when I woke up here. Well, not here, but you know what I mean. Yeah, huh? Lucy leaned against the counter, the ghost of a smile telling his pale face. Naruto noticed it and filed it away for later. But then the cheeky bastard kept asking him questions about her, distracting him. The former seraphim was up to something, but for the life of him, he couldn't figure out what. Anyway, she's great. She helped me settle in, learn how to get control these wings. He flared all 10 of them, for emphasis, and get my bearings besides. Was this before or after you beat Adam senseless? Bit before and a little bit of after. He waffled a hand back and forth. Morningstar rasped a laugh that sounded a little too personal for his liking. Wish I could have been there to see that. You might be the second time around. He was still out cold, or at least he was when I left. If he wakes up and tries something, I'll kick his sorry hide again. You'll have a front row seat. The older angel paused, just shy of taking another drink. Wait, you knocked him out? His brow furrowed. Yeah, what about it? Lucy leaned closer. And he stayed out? For a prolonged period of time? There was something in those words. Again, yes. Why? Angels usually don't do that. He gestured a hand. We tend to heal pretty damn quickly unless we get hit with angelic steel. Should you be telling me that? Meh, you would have figured it out sooner or later, and Sarah's pissing me off. Another glass came and went, quickly swapped out for another by a dazed husk. But back to Emily. You enjoy being around her? Definitely up to something. But what exactly? How could I not be? He shrugged at length, unable to keep the grin from his face. The girl's joy and happiness personified. Pure driven snow. Just being around her lifts your spirits. Dunno why she came down here to look for someone like me, but I want to send her back. Can't let this place taint her. Lucy granted him a toothy grin. Taint her, huh? Oi, don't read into it. Too late, Tilda. Morningstar Hiccup sprawled himself off the counter. Already read the prequel, and now I'm eager for a sequel tild. Had Angel Dust been here, he would have laughed his legs off. Thankfully, he wasn't. Surly spider. You're an incorrigible bastard, you know that? The now thoroughly drunk seraphim snorted. And you're the first person I had a decent conversation with in a century. I'll take what I can get. So, how is she? He winced. She was a little angry when she came down here. But I think that was because I took too long to find my way back up. She calmed down pretty quick once she got a hold of Kurama. Lucy's grin grew. Worried about her, are you? You're practically gushing. All 10 of his wings snapped out as one. I am not. No need to fib. I used to be a seraphim myself. Technically still am despite the whole bent halo thing. He snatched the bottle from his grasp and polished the last of it off as he looked on. If you're that keen on helping her and Charlie, I might be able to get you a meeting with the overlords. You're going to want to start this small and work your way up. Use what connections you have. Maybe talk to Emily. He paused suddenly and looked over his shoulder, a bleary grin lighting his features. Speak of the saint. Naruto blinked. Tug. He looked down, momentarily alarmed. Seemed someone had escaped the cuddle pile. Emily gazed back, tugging at his wrist, expression plaintive. Can we talk now? Oh dear. 0.0. Why haven't you come back? The question hit him just as he took Emily out onto the balcony. Although he had been expecting it, Naruto still wasn't entirely prepared for it. Taking a bracing stance against the first thing he could find, the latter being a wall, he crossed both arms before his chest and pivoted to face her fully. Because there's work to be done down here, he said at length. Besides, he couldn't quite hide his grimace. It's starting to sound like I'm not exactly welcome back at the moment. Stood opposite him, Emily flushed. That's not true, isn't it? He jerked a thumb over his shoulder. Sarah sent Lucy after me, tried to get me killed. Not a very gracious act, that. The smaller seraphim blinked. Lucy, not saying his real name. Emily took that in stride and did her best to rally. Really, she did. Sarah. She's under a lot of stress right now. He tried not to wince as he watched her wring her hands. She misunderstands you. You're only trying to help, and I'm sure you didn't mean to break the barrier. Break the barrier? Naruto's brow shot up into his hair. No, that wasn't me. That was Kurama, and it was an accident. Who? The fox lady? Oh! She has a lovely name. Don't go telling her that you'll piss her off. Still, it hasn't been that long. There must be more to this. Why are you really down here? Emily's wings flared and her halo blazed before she got them under control. I was worried about you. You're important to me. I was worried about you, and Sira said such awful things, and I... Taking a breath, she gulped once. I missed you. His wing perked up. I'm not naive, she continued breathlessly. When I saw the two of you together, I just pushed it down a little. But now I have to ask, are you and her? Lots to unpack there. He dragged a hand across his face. All right, let me explain. There's a very long story about that, and since I don't feel comfortable giving you alcohol over it, we're going to be here for a while. Might want to make yourself comfortable. Emily beat her wings once and settled onto the railing. I'm a good listener. Naruto granted her a fond smile. I'm sure you are. He told her. It was a long story indeed, spanning the better part of an hour, and she listened dutifully as he waved his arms, gesturing all the while. No detail was spared, nothing left out, no one gone unmentioned. By the end of it all, Emily's gaze had grown very wide indeed. He expected anger then, tears and explosion of emotions. Hey, Tilda! He got the latter, albeit not at all in the way he expected. Emmy! I understand now. Emily practically squealed, clapped her hands together, and did a loop-de-loop in the air with her wings unfurled. You're soulmates. Naruto's jaw clicked open. He forced it shut before daring to speak again. You are taking a lot better than I thought you would. No, you don't understand. Emily got in his face, wings beating wildly. Such was the sheer glee that possessed her. Your souls were literally bound together almost immediately after you were born. She was with you for almost 20 years. Giggling a little, she wriggled in place, spinning happily. It's beautiful. I've only ever heard of something like this, but never seen it. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Well, you were the first face I saw when I woke up here, and I was still kind of wary. She flushed a little, and unbidden he called their last meeting when she'd kissed his cheek. He wasn't sure what that meant, and didn't dare try to make a move on her for fear of what might happen. He didn't want to corrupt her. Look, he began, this place, it's not right. It's dark, dangerous. I don't want it to ruin you. She met him stare for stare. It won't. But promise me, Emily. Her cheeks dimpled in a frown. You're starting to sound like Sarah. Naruto audibly gagged at the mention of the older Seraphim and immediately reversed course. Fair enough, let me rephrase that. I like you as you are. Happy, bubbly, the epitome of good. Emily tilted her head. You mean like Charlie? Ugh. Charlie is Charlie, he replied, scratching a whiskered cheek. I'm not sure if her plan is the right one, but... But? This place is for bad people, right? He flung an arm out past the balcony. She nodded once. Then why is Kurama down here? He hated himself for how weak he sounded when he rounded on her. She changed. She was a better person before we died. She saw the error of her ways and chose to be better. I killed people too. Yet I went up and she went down. Why? When we died? A sudden headache seized him, causing him to grip his forehead. Again? He grit his teeth against it. Just what is up with this thing? Emily laid a hand on his wrist. Are you all right? With her touch, the pain passed as quickly as it came, leaving him wondering what caused it in the first. Fine, just a migraine. Oh. Her hand fell and her head with as she tucked her chin into her chest. All right. He hated how small she looked in that moment. How miserable. Had he said something wrong? Done something, more like. He'd been so curious about the underworld, so determined to see what it was like. Then once he did, he'd found himself trapped, bounding from one crisis to another, never once stopping to catch his breath until recently. All this time he'd been neglecting her. Was he in the wrong here? He already knew the answer. Look, he reached out and patted her head. It's not you. I've just got a lot on my plate down here. Her head snapped up, pale eyes blazing. Then let me help you. Sure, she faltered, surprised by his sudden acceptance. You mean it? Really? Just like that? Why not? He shrugged a shoulder and mussed her hair, drawing a cute pout from her. I'm overwhelmed down here. I'll take all the help I can get. That's good, because I won't be left behind. Naruto frowned down at her, not comprehending what she meant. Left behind what? Her lips met his halfway, little more than a whisper, a touch, a feather's brush. Emily pulled away quickly, cheeks rosy. So that's what it feels like. His face went red. This was different than his time with Kurama. He knew Emily, yes, but not in the way that he knew the feisty furball. She was more than a friend, more than an acquaintance, more than an ally. She was important to him. Someone that he wanted to keep safe, someone he wanted to protect at all costs. Perhaps that was a bit chauvinistic of him, or maybe that wasn't the right word. but his brain was feeling pretty darn fuzzy right about now. And she had just kissed him. Really kissed him, not the little peck on the cheek like last time, in actual, honest-to-goodness, genuine kiss. Why did he feel so warm? Was it hot in here, or was it just him? Could I have one more? Naruto's brain fizzled out in a shower of sparks. He garbled out something that must have sounded like an affirmative, because she gently placed her hands on his shoulder and kissed him again, lips lingering over his own a second longer than last time. I'm sorry, was that too much? His fellow seraphim drew back, looking tentative. Nervous, afraid. I wanted to see what it felt like. She was audibly repeating herself, not that he could blame her. He didn't think it was lust. Emily probably couldn't even feel that pure she was, which meant, whoa. Wonderful Tilde. Emily clasped her hands, eyes practically shining. Is this what love feels like? Too. Damn. Cute? Charlie was right, she hummed, thumbing her chin. Love is beautiful. After all, love can redeem even the darkest heart, Tilde. Such a pure mindset. Those girls were two peas in a pod. Naruto glanced aside. Tell that to Verusica, Emily sputtered adorably. I don't want to skip straight ahead to, well, what she does. Her face burned anew as she squirmed in place, wringing her hands. But could we hold hands as a start? Ah, yes, the forbidden art of holding hands. The ultimate commitment. He laughed not at her, but at himself. Emily pouted, puffing out her cheeks. What's so funny? Nothing. He wiped a mirthful tear from the corner of his eye. Just glad some things are still the same. Emily was still Emily. She hadn't fallen while coming down here. She was still her silly, bubbly self. He wouldn't trade her for the world. His one regret was that his friends and family never had a chance to meet her. Sasuke and Sakura would have been utterly baffled by this pure beacon of light. And his parents. Ha! Minato and Kushina would have been all over her. But enough about dead friends and those he'd lost. No sense in wasting the moment. I wouldn't mind. He offered her his hand, and much to his surprise, she seized it with a giddy squeal, surprising him. Her palm, so much smaller than his own, still fit neatly against them, her fingers threading through his. It felt good. No, better than good. What was the word? He couldn't quite quantify it, so he didn't try. It just felt right. Emily blinked, regarding their intertwined hands with quiet curiosity. This really does feel nice. It certainly did. There was none of that primal need or wild aggression he had felt with Kurama. This was something calmer, lighter, brighter, just as fulfilling, but nowhere near as savage. Like basking in warm sunlight on a snow day. As strange as that sounded, being near her like this, simply holding her hand and enjoying her companionship, it brought him more peace than the pearly gates ever did. Emily snuggled into his side. Can we stay like this for a little while? Well, that settled things, didn't it? Protect at all costs. She was worth fighting for. Chapter 15. Can a soul improve? That's the question, isn't it? Let's find out. All you need is a little love. Bullshit! Ain't no way. Wanna bet, Tilda? Oh, and by the way, Emily might have called in the cavalry. What do you mean, cavalry? Are those freaking cherubs? Tilda? Out for love. What did I just walk into? The voice rang out with theatrical bravado, slicing through the chaos like a hot cleaver through a screaming, ham-shaped banshee. The double doors exploded open. Not creaked, not swung, exploded blasting wind, dust, and a very startled bellhop halfway into the chandelier. In the doorway stood Alastor, the radio demon himself, bathed in a spotlight that didn't exist a second ago. Devilish silhouette framed by swirling shadows and crackling static. His arms were thrown wide like he was hosting a game show from hell, and every speaker in the tri-state area let out a synchronized, joyful hiss of white noise like a haunted barbershop quartet. Ah, you've redecorated! With violence. His cane tapped the tiles with impeccable rhythm as he waltzed in like a noble at a blood-themed ball. Delightful. Alastor! Charlie's voice cracked with surprise and something dangerously close to relief as she popped up from behind the front desk. Her eyes lit up like she'd just seen a puppy wearing a tiara. Where have you been? We've had explosions, a sexy demon incident, Naruto fought my dad and Overlord came to visit, and there's a seraphim upstairs. Alistair tilted his head back with a wide, haunting grin. My dear Charlie, I should be the one asking what in Satan's sweet jazz session did I miss? Husk took a swig of whiskey before saying, I'm too sober for a full explain, so this is the most you'll get out of me. New Archangel is a ninja. Crash landed in hell, the princess is dating an exterminator, the blonde and Lucifer beat the crap out of each other, Extermination Day might be postponed, another angel showed up, there's a fox girl with her enormous rack, Ninja brought her and a succubus here, and now the hotel has at least 3 more guests, 5 if you count the king and the pop star. Alistair made face similar to the one a certain pirate made when he saw his ship getting taken away by an army of white crabs. Whee! A chair flew across the room like a torpedo launched by sheer dramatic timing, missing his head by a hair's breadth. He blinked. Is that an invitation to dance? Duck, dumbass! Naruto's voice rang out like a battle cry from across the room, shirt half burned, one arm in a sling and holding a toaster like a weapon. He was bleeding. From somewhere, probably several somewheres. Language! Emily's prim and proper voice cut through the air like a moral compass thrown by a nun in a bad mood. She followed it up with a well-aimed pillow, which smacked Naruto right in the face with a dignified thwomp. Said blonde groaned from underneath it, muffled. Still worth it. Alistair twirled his cane, caught the flying pillow mid-spin, and added it to the top of his head like a hat. Charming as ever. Oh, how I missed you, degenerates. His grin widened. Shall I start narrating again? Or would that break more furniture? Naruto twitched. There was a beat of silence, just long enough for a haunted grandfather clock to sigh audibly before someone, probably nifty, shouted, Everyone get down, they're gonna fight again. Chaos ensued anew. Than up earlier. Carmilla was not used to feeling warm. Not the kind that mortals wrote poetry about. Not the kind that crept under your skin, bypassed your armor, and made your demonic heart stutter like a rookie soldier saluting their first crush. And certainly not the kind that came from sitting next to him. She sat with her arms crossed, spine straight as a sword, trying to ignore the angel next to her. Naruto, still smelling faintly of smoke, mischief, and poor decisions, grinned with the confidence of someone who absolutely should not have that much power over her blood pressure. She had just finished yelling at him, chewing him out with centuries of perfected aristocratic venom. And what did he do? He smiled. Worse? She felt every inch between them, which wasn't much at all. Too little. Far too little. She had agreed to this meeting as a courtesy, said she, thinking she would be meeting with Morningstar. One did not say no to the Lord of the Underworld and expect to escape unscathed. Certainly not when he could annihilate her and her daughters with a snap of his fingers. So, yes, she'd come to this infernal hotel, braced for a dressing down, perhaps the most dangerous verbal battle of her life. Instead, she found him waiting for her. Him. She hated how aware she was of him. The way his stupid, whiskered face scrunched up like a confused fox when he overthought things. The way he still smiled even when she insulted his intelligence, his choices, his hair, and his fashion sense. The way he noticed everything. And when he pitched this insipid scheme of his, she erupted, violently. I still don't see why you're so afraid of me meeting the other overlords, Gar. Naruto's yelped as Carmilla spun in place and pinched his cheeks, her nails digging in just enough to make it very clear that she was restraining the urge to throttle him. Stupid boy, she hissed, crimson eyes burning with exasperation. Are you really so dense that you don't realize you're holding the answer? Despite having fought literal gods and walked through wars, he looked completely baffled. What? Oh, you heard me! Carmilla snapped, giving his face another firm pinch, forcing his head to tilt awkwardly. Use your damn brain for once! Naruto, squinting in confusion, rubbed his chin. Huh. Is this one of those weird riddle things? Like if you have the answer but don't see the answer, does that mean the answer was the question all along? Carmilla twitched and exhaled sharply as if suppressing a scream before slamming him back into the nearest chair. Naruto, completely unbothered by her aggression, grinned up at her. Ha! You kept your hair down. He leaned forward slightly, his grin widening. Looks nice. There was a beat of silence. Carmilla froze. Her face scrunched in immediate irritation, but there was a faint flicker of something else. Something that only made her even more annoyed. What did you just say? She hissed, her voice dangerously low. Naruto smirked. You heard me. Hell itself seemed to pause. Then, Carmilla swore violently and rapid-fire demonic turned on her heel and stormed out, muttering very unholy things under her breath. Naruto stretched lazily in his chair. Or totally worth it. I still say it looks nice. Cute, even. Errors were made and they were his. She froze in the doorway. What did you just say? It slipped out like a curse. She blinked. He blinked. A beat passed. Naruto took a deep breath. Then he went and uttered the words. That bastard actually said them aloud. The resulting brawl between them birthed all manner of chaos and abominations. And that's now hours later. The dining room was a wreck of scorched tablecloths and emotionally scarred furniture. Carmilla, floating above the ground just slightly, because heels were annoying, was helping Charlie clean up. Correction, Charlie was cleaning. Carmilla was gripping a teacup like it owed her money. You okay, Carmy? Charlie asked innocently, sweeping up broken china with all the serenity of a Disney princess in a war zone. Fine. The cup exploded. Not cracked. Not chipped. Just boom. Ceramic confetti. Charlie froze. Turned. Blink. Blink. Swept a little more. Sure you don't have a thing for him? There was a pause. A silence so sharp it could cut glass. Even the ghosts haunting the napkin drawer stopped whispering. Carmilla's eye just a little twitch. A full-body, soul-rattling, my eye just declared war twitch. Somewhere in the distance, a thunderclap struck dramatically for no reason. Of course not, she hissed through clenched fangs. I don't fall for idiots. Boom! Another teacup exploded. Charlie just hummed. Uh-huh. Meanwhile, I found a volunteer Tilda. The air screamed in protest as gears screeched, pistons pumped, and a thick plume of steam blasted through the hotel's front doors like someone had angered a Victorian volcano. With a dramatic kaboom-chank, Sir Pentious burst into the lobby atop a metal monstrosity that looked like a train that got rejected by a circus, rebuilt itself with vengeance, and entered a steampunk unicycle deathmatch. He stood posed on top of it, scarf whipping dramatically in a wind that didn't exist, goggles fogged up, chest puffed out like he was ready to declare war on modern aesthetics. Hello, he declared, as if the world had been holding its breath just to hear from him again. The room stared. Dead. Silent. That's a giant snake, Naruto deadpanned, standing beside a chair he had probably just finished punching. Yes. I made it myself, Pentious announced proudly, hands on hips like a lunatic Da Vinci in denial. It's ugly, Vaggie muttered, barely looking up from their book. Pentious recoiled as though he'd been physically struck by an insult katana. You dare! You dare! This is art, you insufferable mole rat! Naruto casually raised a hand like he was ordering ramen. Hold up. Is it alive? The mechanical snake hissed. It had glowing red eyes, rotating jaw gears, and what looked suspiciously like a flamethrower attachment made from a repurposed espresso machine. Oh, good, Naruto grinned, cracking his knuckles. Another thing I can punch. Wait! Pentious vanished in a cloud of smoke and delusion, hurling down a smoke bomb with theatrical flair. Thwomp. Nothing happened. The hotel's upgraded ventilation system, recently installed by Nifty after last week's lava pudding incident, sucked the smoke up in less than 3 seconds. Pentious stood blinking in the now clear lobby, utterly visible, slightly panicking. Curse this modern technology! He tripped over his own tail, shrieked like a dying violin, and fell face first off the snake. Before he could recover, 3 hyperactive cherubs dive-bombed him like candy-fueled missiles, mistaking him for either a parade float, a new bouncy ride, or possibly a snake-shaped piñata. Whee! He's squishy. Does he drop loot? Get off me, you fluffy flying demons! Emily giggled into her sleeve, clearly delighted by the chaos of her followers. Carmilla did not. She just took a long, slow sip from a blood-red teacup, eyes narrowing. I'm surrounded by idiots. The snake hissed in agreement. 0.0, 0.0. Kurama heard the raised voices below. The chaos, the ruckus, the disorder, and all the anarchy that followed. With a groan, the fox buried her head back into the pillow and resigned herself to tune it out. In all fairness, she'd never say that aloud, should probably be down there, making order from the chaos, or, at the very least, staking her claim to ward off any other potential challengers. Not the Seraphim girl, though. Too precious, too pure. Protect the purity at all costs. So yes, under normal circumstances, she would have come crashing down there, all fire and brimstone, to chase off that overbearing overlord. Under normal circumstances, yes. There was just one problem. Said problem was pink, naked, and presently pressed up against her from behind, cuddling against her, nibbling her neck. It felt rather pleasant if she was being perfectly honest with herself. Who knew a woman's body could be so soft? Maybe this one was worth keeping around. Shouldn't you be down there dealing with that disaster? Can't. Verosica cuddled against her, humming contently as she nuzzled her neck, lone tail twining with several of her own. Kami will flay me alive and hang my skin out to dry if she knows I'm here. Besides, I'm comfy. At my expense. Bitch, please. The succubus smirked, her expression just a shade shy of a smug sneer. I don't hear you complaining after that last orgasm. True, she wasn't. It felt good. Horribly, sinfully, terribly good. This body was quite sensitive. Enough to drive her utterly mad. A hand drifted lower, cupping her right breast, tweaking her nipple. Kurama flashed her fangs. No pinching. So you don't like it rough all the time? Verosica leaned over her, pressing her bare bosom in her back. Good to know, that's all right. I can be gentle too. Kurama's throat went dry. Naruto would have collapsed from a nosebleed if he saw them like this. Even so, she couldn't bring herself to protest as the smouldering succubus crawled her way into her lap. You know, Verosica crooned darkly, straddling her, watching the two of you together has gotten me all hot and bothered. But since he's busy, a hand descended, tracing her cheek, thumb trailing across her lips. I want to see what you taste like. How about it? She arched her back, bearing her beautiful body to her in all her naked glory. Want to see what a girl feels like? Kurama gulped for all the wrong reasons. Now wait just a minute! If you think for a second that you can handle me, you are sorely mistaken. Verosica most assuredly thought she could, because she took the plunge. Leaning low, she kissed her deeply. 0.0, 0.0. And then, Alistair proclaimed, dabbing politely at the corners of his mouth with a napkin that may or may not have once been haunted. I return from a brief sabbatical only to find Naruto preparing to throw hands with an overlord asterisk and Penchus being sat on by toddlers. He punctuated the sentence by smacking the table so hard the ghost pepper cobbler vibrated, briefly summoned a minor poltergeist, and then resumed being dessert. Sounds about right, Vaggie muttered, arms crossed, already resigned to the insanity. Truly, I've missed everything. Alistair spun in his chair, somehow generating music despite the complete absence of instruments. At that exact moment, like the scene was being directed by destiny itself, the lobby doors creaked open. Enter Naruto. Bruised, dusty, shirt singed, holding what looked like a fistful of white hair in one hand and a half-eaten corn dog in the other. Did I miss something? He grinned. The kind of grin that made people nervous. The kind that usually preceded something getting drop-kicked through a stained glass window. Yes! Carmilla's voice cracked through the room like a thunderbolt of pure fury. She marched up to him, heels clicking like war drums, cloak flaring like a villain about to deliver a monologue, and planted herself nose to nose with him. Her eyes blazed. Her fangs peaked. Her fists clenched. You? Naruto blinked. Me. He looked around as if checking whether she was actually addressing the couch behind him. She shoved a hand against his chest. He didn't move. Not 1 inch. Her hand lingered. 2. Long. She realized it. So did he. She yanked it back like it had caught fire. You're insufferable. And aggravating. And. Her voice cracked halfway through the last word, like her pride physically couldn't finish the sentence. Naruto's grin softened. Just a notch. Not cocky. Not mocking. Just warm. Stupidly warm. Thanks. I try. Carmilla made a sound that might have been a snarl or a dying squeak. It was unclear. I hate you. Naruto tilted his head. You sure? The room fell silent. Even the background jazz seemed to pause, curious to see what would happen next. Carmilla opened her mouth. Nothing. A silence settled so heavy it bent gravity. Even the couch groaned. Finally, she hissed, turned on her heel, and flopped onto the couch beside him like a princess whose kingdom just betrayed her. Just shut up and sit down before I actually stab you. Naruto, smug as a fox with a full henhouse, dropped beside her like he'd won the lottery and the afterlife in one day. Emily, off to the side, clasped her hands together like a fangirl at a royal wedding. They're so cute together. We are not. Alastair ignored the resultant outburst and leaned in, voice syrup smooth. Like a nuke and a teacup, my dear. Positively explosive with just a hint of porcelain tragedy. 0.0, 0.0. Even the fiercest of flames and mightiest infernos can't rage forever. Sooner or later, things were bound to calm down. And they did. So, Naruto drawled, his voice lazy, quiet, like a breeze drifting over warm stone. He was sprawled out on the hotel's tallest tower, limbs stretched like a starfish, claiming the night sky as his personal ceiling. We done fighting? The moon above was fat and full, casting silver light across the cracked brick and rusted railing. The stars blinked down like sleepy gods with popcorn, watching the chaos of the hotel play out. Behind him, there was the faintest rustle of silk and heels discarded. Carmilla lay down beside him. Not a word, no dramatic flair, no biting sarcasm, just presence. They stared up at the same sky, quiet, breathing in sync. The world, for once, not trying to explode. He grinned a little, unable to help himself. Think I'm getting used to this place. Minutes passed. Long, stretching minutes where neither of them spoke, until finally, in a whisper so soft it nearly vanished into the wind, "Did you mean it?" Naruto blinked, still not looking her way. Mean what? A pause. She hated how small her voice sounded. What you said. About my hair. He didn't turn toward her, but she felt it. That grin of his. The one that always showed up when he wasn't trying to win or impress or fight. Just being Naruto. Yeah, I meant it. Carmilla didn't respond. She simply rolled onto her side, back to him, hair trailing like a fallen curtain. A smile tugged at her lips. Small, unwelcome, real. She hated it, but she didn't stop it. Neither did he. You, she began after a moment's pause, are quite possibly the strangest angel I've ever met. He barked a laugh sharp and poignant. Yeah, I get that a lot. Carmilla rolled her eyes. I'm sure. The silence returned. This time she made no effort to break it. Instead, she contented herself with staring at the sky. There were few stars to behold down here, and most of them were false, an illusion crafted long ago by Morningstar in another misguided attempt to grant the denizens of the underworld some small semblance of normality. Normal. How long had she been resigned to normality? To simply doing as she'd always done? Protecting her daughters, running her organization, maintaining order with the other overlords such as it was. Fending off the yearly exterminations, doing her best to survive. More of the same. Day in, day out, with precious little in the way of change. Odette and Clara were her world, and she would give anything for them, die for them. But when was the last time she'd done anything for herself? She couldn't remember. Nonsense. Surely there had been a time. Or maybe before. Wasn't there that one instance? No. She couldn't recall anything in the last 100 years, and her memory further back was decidedly murky. Before she'd become this, that was even foggier still. She'd not given much thought to those days in quite some time. She'd become too focused on the day-to-day. Survive, survive, survive. Make it through. Until him. Now suddenly, there were angels in the underworld again. They weren't killing people, and she didn't know what to do. Maybe it was time for a change. Maybe this was her chance. Maybe. This plan of yours. She refused to look at Naruto as she forced the words out through grit teeth. The one Morningstar's whelp came up with. You believe it will work? You are certain? Meh. She heard him shrug, wings stirring as he did. Nothing's certain until you succeed. Incensed by his blasé behavior, she rolled over and pinched his cheek with a hiss. Ouch, he grinned despite the discomfort. Finally got you to look at me. Carmilla swore in Spanish. Don't push your luck, Chico. I don't know, Naruto kept beaming, utterly unafraid of her. Feeling pretty lucky so far. There it was, that infernal attitude of his laced with snarky charm. So unbefitting of an angel. Naruto wasn't even talking down to her or disrespecting her. He was just so relaxed. Even more so now than he'd been when they'd first met. As though something had come unwound deep inside him, like he was the best round, and nothing would get him down. It must be that little seraphim of his. Had to be. He'd been over the moon since coming down the balcony with Emily. Angels kept to their own kind naturally. For some reason that angered her. Badly. In a fit of proper pique, Carmilla seized the other side of the blonde's blasted face and yanked with both hands, stretching his cheeks left, right, every which way between. He kept smiling, utterly unflappable in the face of her fiery fury. He even deigned to laugh a little as though her actions were somehow tickling him. Perhaps they were. Not so rough. At last he sighed and reached up to grasp her wrists, preventing her from actually harming him. You're gonna break my face, you know. She hissed at him, fangs flashing as her tongue betrayed her. Tonto, lunatico, estás completamente loco. I cannot understand a word you're saying. Blast, she'd slipped back into Spanish again, hadn't she? Unbidden, she found herself leaning closer to snarl at him. You infuriate me. Naruto whined a little. Oh, and here I thought we could be best buddies. By the inferno, he actually meant those words. The blasted blonde bastard. Leaning down, Carmilla growled anew. Do you think this a game? He blinked up at her and tilted his head. No? Wait, why was she looking down on him? When had she gotten atop his lap? Somewhere between one curse and another, no doubt. She'd even stopped pinching his cheeks and begun cupping his face instead. His hands were still settled around her wrists, and while she knew he could have broken her arms like so much kindling, he didn't. Instead, he lay there, waiting to see what she would do. In truth, she would have taken the pain. Agony was preferable to the uncertainty raging through her veins. She was losing control, both of the situation and the herself. Step back. She needed to step back. Now, before, how is it that you have so much hope? Too late. The last word escaped her in a low rasp, nearly a wail. This is not heaven. This is the underworld. We belong here. Our lives do not matter. His brow furrowed, but that smile never dimmed, not once. I disagree. You're not as terrifying as you make yourself out to be, Carmilla Carmine. It was the first time he'd used her full name, and it made her shudder. Not at all in a bad way. Why? She seized his robe and yanked hard, dragging him upright to bash her forehead against his. What possible hope could there be for the defeated and the damned? I'll tell you. None. What redeeming qualities do you see in one such as me? You love your daughters. Carmine dropped him like she'd been burned. Odette and Clara. Naruto pressed the attack, causing her to recoil with every word. You care about them, don't you? I can see it in your eyes. Carmilla's first instinct was raw panic, and she reacted accordingly. Covered her face to hide her shame. In doing, she inadvertently ripping her arms from his grasp. She scarcely noticed such was her panic. Her daughters, her girls, her world. He knew about them? How could he? Verosica, that little bitch! She'd flay her alive. See? Naruto patted her leg in a friendly manner. If you were really a monster, you wouldn't bat an eyelash when I mentioned your kids. Silver eyes peeked out between her fingers, the beginnings of a scowl tugging at her pallid face. If you dare lay a finger on them, heaven itself won't be able to save you from me. Hurt them? Perish the thought! He held up both hands. I'm not a monster either, you know. We both have people we love. Folks we want to protect, you know. Crossing both arms behind his chest, he deliberately left himself vulnerable beneath her smouldering gaze. At the end of the day, just about everybody's out for love in one way or another. Out for love. Something stirred softly in Carmilla's chest. It felt familiar, almost like hope. How long had it been since she felt the like? Too long. Far, far, far too long indeed. This was foolishness, utter folly. She should not trust him. She should not. She shouldn't. She. A tremor shook her shoulders as she hugged herself. With it, a little laugh escaped her lips, bittersweet and painful. Something wet ran down her cheek. It took her a moment to recognize it, and she did. Her laughter redoubled. Naruto tilted his head, baffled by the sudden sound. You good? Ignorant fool. Was he even now blind to what he'd done? So be it. The die was cast, her choice made. You wretched man! Me! He tried to sit up, only for her to push him back down. The heck did I do? He had made her feel things. This was all his fault. So what if she had competition? This was war. She'd have him take responsibility. All of it! Right here. Now! Not another word. Carmilla glared daggers at him. You will remain still and silent for the next 10 seconds. Do so, and I will reward you. Do you understand? His brow furrowed. I think, good boy. So speaking, she reached up and quickly undid the buttons of her blouse, one by one all the way down. It pooled at her hips, exposing her grey skin as she bared her upper torso to him, both herself and the pale, lacy white bra she wore over her bountiful breasts. His eyes bulged at the sight of her, but she didn't give him time to ruin the moment. In an instant, she freed herself from her brassiere and threw the garment at his face. He ripped it away quickly, but she didn't give him the chance to recover. The rest of her clothes soon followed suit, first her long gloves and skirt, then her tights, followed by the last of her underwear, each flung at him in rapid succession. It was in that last brief moment of inattention, as Naruto sputtered and struggled to peel her undergarment's clothes off his face, that she struck. Carmilla dove down and kissed him fiercely, plundering his mouth with her own like a conqueror of old. Naruto froze at first, but to his credit recovered quickly. His hands rose to cup her face without hesitation, to which she retaliated in kind, viscerally yanking off his robes to plant herself atop him with intent. He gasped as she did, her hands seeking his shoulders for balance, as his palms instinctively settled about her flank, in quiet accord caressing her rear. It was so incredibly pleasant to be touched by another. An immense joy indeed. Gods, but she had forgotten how good this felt. She'd missed this. With a sultry smirk, Carmilla began to move her hips. They didn't leave the rooftop for quite some time. Chapter 16. What happens when fire meets oil? Bad things? Well, yes, my dear, but that's not the point. Granted, you get a roaring inferno, but it will burn beautifully. Now then, I'm off to check on our newest guest. Wish me luck! Tutta Tilda. Tilda, Alistair, and Charlie. Respect. There was weight atop him. Naruto's eyes creaked open, sluggish and blurry. For a moment he thought he was drowning under a sea of velvet, until his brain, with admirable sluggishness, processed the facts. There was a body sprawled across him. It was warm, soft, breathing, and very much female. The ceiling spun slightly overhead. A room. No, a suite. Not the sterile halls of heaven proper, but something softer, cozier. Fiery stitched clouds floated lazily outside the window. The scent of roses and something faintly metallic hung in the air. A bed, a real one, not one conjured by errant cloud stuff. When had they gotten back here? More importantly, did he care? Naruto exhaled slowly, letting his head sink back against the plush pillows. Nope, definitely didn't care. One problem at a time. The woman on top of him stirred, mumbling something low and dark in her throat. A sudden string of furious Spanish hissed out of her lips like steam from a ruptured boiler. Maldita sea! Donde está mi mierda, mierda, mierda? Naruto winced slightly as Carmilla's forehead thunked hard against his collarbone. Her crimson eyes snapped open, pupils narrowing to vicious slits before rationality slowly, painfully returned. She froze. He stared. A beat of silence stretched between them. And then, you. Her voice dripped with venom. How are you still breathing? He was, yes, and feeling pretty damn good despite the murder in her eyes. Naruto offered a crooked smile, all too aware of her claws tensing against his chest. Morning to you too, sunshine. Carmilla glared at him, the heat of her anger practically melting the nearby sheets. She shoved herself upright with a huff, perching atop him like an impatient cat, debating whether or not to kill its owner. He wisely chose not to comment on the lovely view she inadvertently granted him of her still very much naked body in the process. What? He was honest. Carmilla was a beautiful woman, and she had 2 kids with a body like that. Girl kept in shape. You still intend to meet the overlords? She demanded, voice sharp enough to flay steel. Of course. His grin only widened as he crossed both arms behind his head. Wouldn't miss it for the world. She swore virulently in rapid-fire Spanish that left him whistling before she righted herself. They'll lose their minds the moment they see you. Me and Emily. He raised a hand, bringing a finger with it to poke her thigh. She's a part of this. The swearing intensified. Then they will try to kill you both. Try. Trying implied a chance of success. They had none. Even if by chance some of them had access to angelic steel, unlikely, they wouldn't be able to harm him. Or her. Either of them, really. Why, you ask? Simple, he wouldn't allow it. In the even that they made an attempt. Well, he had already bested one overlord down here. He didn't mind cracking a few more skulls. Some of that must have shown through on his face, because Carmilla clicked her tongue and pinched his cheek. Have you no respect for them? I respect you. Isn't that enough? Her eye twitched. Maybe it was the post-coitus bliss, but he really was feeling rather relaxed right about now. Downright confident even. Whatever initial hesitations and excuses he might have made for the sake of Kurama, he didn't have to make for Carmilla. What he felt for her wasn't the gentle fondness he felt for Emily either. He loved that, adored her. But things with Kami were markedly different. Sure, they got along like a house on fire most of the time, but she was a delight to wind up and let loose. If she had something to say, she would damn well say it, and woe be to ye if you got in her way. Huh? He chuckled ruefully, realizing something. I think I have a type. Carmilla twitched. Dare I ask? No need to. Flaring his wings behind him, he rolled over, dragging her down with him. The result was a terribly startled Carmilla pinned beneath him, but only for a moment as desire caught up with Iha. Then she surged up to meet him. Her lips captured his in a fiery kiss as her nails dug into his back, to which he dug his fingers into her hips. Never one to be outdone, she bit and scratched and clawed at him, giving as good as she got. She started swearing in Spanish again between kisses. It was intoxicating. In an instant, he forgot all about the overlords and everything else, as the world descended once more into a carnal haze. Somewhere in the chaos, they tumbled off the bed and wound up on the floor with her atop him again. Not content with her temporary advantage, she all straddled him with her hips, practically kneeling over him, legs splayed on either side. Arrogant angel. She leaned down to glower at him, long hair tickling his nose as she did. When will you learn? Wicked woman. And yet it is I who have you pinned. Carmilla kissed him again, biting his lip as she withdrew to leer over him. Not so smug now, are you? Rather than retort further, he rolled his eyes, drew himself up, took her into his arms, and settled her firmly in his lap. Her eyes widened and her gasp became a groan, one he couldn't resist teasing her for. Holding her close, he blew into her ear. What was that about being smug? She glared at him, eyes half-lidded, but didn't swear. Gotcha. In the end, Carmilla barely put up a token resistance before settling against him. From there, she was all too happy to resume their nightly activities, link her arms around his neck, slam her hips against his, and ride him into oblivion. They made love together hussed like that, once, twice, thrice, quickly and quietly, breaths coming in soft gasps before collapsing against one another again. Mierda! He heard her swear against his chest. We have to stop doing this. A blonde brow rose. Do we? She smacked his arm but made no move to rise. Unless you wish to see little winged ones running around underfoot, see? He couldn't tell if she meant it as sarcasm or not, so he wisely chose not to comment it. You know, I wouldn't mind being a dad. Until his tongue betrayed him. Carmilla went still as stone. Before she could articulate a reply, one that likely involved the words idiot and damnation in some creative order, the door slammed open. Knock, knock, Tilda. Wait a sec, that sounded like... Alastor, the ever-cheerful radio demon, strolled inside without a care in the world, a gramophone swirling to life behind him to announce his arrival. His grin widened wickedly the moment he laid eyes on the pair. Oh, Tilde. Am I interrupting something scandalous, Tilda? Carmilla reacted instantly. With a snarl and a stream of Spanish that would make a sailor blush, she kicked a nearby decorative stand at him with supernatural force. The poor defenseless furniture shrieked through the air like a meteor. Alistair sidestepped neatly, tipping his head with a laugh, and retreated back into the hallway, even as Carmilla stormed after him and slammed the door shut with enough force to rattle the room. Naruto blinked at the still shaking door, shrugged, and began the long and laborious process of dressing himself. Might want to lock that next time, he muttered. Belatedly, he realized something else. You left your clothes behind! Carmilla's outraged shriek shook the hotel. D.0, 0.0. Morningstar looked up from the bar, bottle in hand. Whistled softly to himself now. He works fast. 0.0, 0.0. Verosica poked her head out one of the hotel's many windows, daring to peep. Is she finally leaving? It certainly seemed like Carmilla was, but therein lie the rub. Blondie was going with her. And the little angel too? Her tail twitched, rife with indignation. Oi? Where do they think they're going with my man? A clawed hand closed around her shoulder. Your man, was it? Verosica squeaked. Slip of the tongue. I believe a bit of payback is in order. Kurama yanked her back inside. 0.0, 0.0. The gathering hall was a curious thing, stitched from both grandeur and decay. Crumbling statues of forgotten sins loomed alongside gilded pillars. Chandeliers swung lazily from the ceiling, the crystals dripping molten wax instead of light. Dozens of figures loitered in the room. Some leaned against the walls, others perched on thrones made of bone, iron, or stranger things. Overlords of hell, ancient, powerful, each with their own corner of damnation, carved out by blood and ambition. And then there was Naruto and Emily. They stepped through the great doors together side by side. The effect was immediate. Silence rippled through the hall like a dropped stone into water. Dozens of eyes, predatory, calculating, skeptical, turned toward them. Naruto met their stares head-on, arms loose at his sides, wings tucked back neatly. Emily clutched his sleeve, radiating anxious sunshine, as her own tiny halo trembled overhead. He squeezed her hand once, reassuringly. At the far side of the room, a lazy voice broke the silence. Well, well, well. Looks like the rumors were true. Naruto recognized Alastor and Carmilla near the head of the table, but he didn't have time to process that before the real chaos arrived. The side doors exploded open. Velvet, overlord of vice and entertainment, sauntered into the room with all the grace of a born showman. Heels clicking, hips swaying, cell phone balanced atop one claw. She was mid-snap of a selfie when she caught sight of Naruto. Velvet stopped, dead, in her tracks. Her phone slipped from nerveless fingers and clattered to the floor. Ooh, Tilda. Her grin split wider, fangs gleaming. Hello, handsome Tilda. Been looking for you, Tilda. Naruto blinked. Emily gasped. Carmilla, standing a pace behind, visibly bristled, her claws flaring with suppressed fury. Velvet sashayed forward with all the inevitability of an oncoming train. You didn't tell me heaven sent down that. Naruto opened his mouth to retort, or at least to ask what the hell she was on about, but Carmilla cut in first. We're here for serious business, Velvet. Her voice cracked like a whip. Not your next conquest. Velvet cooed, completely unaffected. Who says I can't multitask? The hall dissolved into chaos. Laughter erupted from some of the overlords. A few whistled, others jeered. A cadre of imps took bets in the back corner. A tall snake demon produced popcorn from nowhere and began munching eagerly. Naruto sighed internally. Emily, bless her pure little heart, stepped forward and clapped her hands once. A tiny clear sound. Hello everyone. If we could all please and focus. The sheer earnestness in her voice was enough to cause even the most jaded demons to falter. Naruto seized the opportunity. He stepped forward, wings half flared, voice cutting cleanly through the room. We're here to talk about this year's Extermination Day, he hummed, seizing the opportunity that she'd given him. And why it's not going to happen. That sobered them. Like a tide receding, the chaos pulled back. Overlords leaned in, predatory focus returning. Carmilla stepped to Naruto's side, arms folded, nodding sharply. Alastor, somehow, having found himself a seat and a box of popcorn, chuckled darkly. What can you do? The radio demon intoned. Even the hopeless have hope sometimes. It'll be entertaining to watch them fail, Tilda. A few snickers rippled through the room. Naruto stood firm. We're proposing a trial run. He held up a finger, the lone digit gleaming with angelic light. No exterminations this year. In exchange, volunteers will join Charlie's hotel to test whether redemption is possible. The word redemption caused visible reactions. Hotel? Ah, Morningstar's daughter. Wasn't she on the TV? A few weeks back. Some sneered. Others looked away uncomfortable. A few looked curious, dangerous. Dangerous in the way predators were when considering whether something new was edible. Naruto flared his wings, all 10 of them at once, bringing a hush to the whispers. He failed to notice Velvet tilting her head in the background. Zestial, an ancient overlord, sat up straighter in his chair to rasp his voice across the room. And if they fail? Then we go back to business as usual, Carmilla declared curtly. Extermination next year, murmurs broke out. Naruto felt the tide tilting against them. Doubt, fear, disdain. And then Velvet laughed. The chatty girl threw her head back, hands on hips, laughing until she wiped a tear from her eye. Then she straightened, brushing a lock of hair behind one ear. She raised her hand. I'll volunteer. The room froze. Even Alastor's smile faltered for a beat. Naruto narrowed his eyes. You're serious? Velvet blew him a kiss. Deadly serious, sweetheart. Carmilla sputtered, quite alarmed. You can't be serious. This isn't some joke. Velvet winked. Who's joking? Sounds like fun to me. Besides, someone has to keep things spicy. Naruto clenched his jaw. Emily looked up at him, searching his face for guidance, her hand still squeezing his as she whispered, I think maybe it's okay. Naruto exhaled through his nose. Fine. Just fine. He nodded curtly. Emily turned back to the gathering and said with surprising firmness, then it settled. Velvet will volunteer. A few overlords grumbled. Others shrugged. Some whispered about watching for sabotage. But no one openly challenged it. Not yet. Naruto, meanwhile, couldn't shake the evil feeling crawling up his spine. He glanced at Velvet again, all smiles and mischief, but without a single iota of ill intent behind any of it. At Alaster, already humming some dark little tune. At Carmilla, glaring daggers at the world. At Emily, clutching his arm, innocent and trusting. Zestial granted him a nod and sipped demurely at his tea, wholly unconcerned by the declaration. He scowled. Something was wrong. Terribly, horribly wrong. He couldn't help but feel as though he'd been played somehow. Like he'd just made a misstep, one that would come back to bite him down the line. But how? For all intensive purposes, everything seemed to be under control. The overlords had barely made so much as a peep in protest. If anything, they were more afraid of him than Emily. No one had dared raise a finger against either of them. What was he missing here? He exchanged an anxious glance with Emily, who shrugged in return. As the meeting gradually began to dissolve into side conversations and other mad machinations he didn't care for, Naruto turned his face towards the heavens overhead and sighed. No angelic ambush came from above, no sudden knife in his back, no abrupt betrayal. The underworld lurched ever onward like a poorly oiled machine. And yet on said sigh came a whisper, one spoken with all the weary certainty of a man standing atop a powder keg. I've got a bad feeling about this. Chapter 17. Gah. This new body's a pain in the ass. Especially ass. I mean, have you seen this thing? Crude as ever, I see. You haven't changed a bit, have you? Aha, but I have. Unlike you, Miss Halo Cracker. Tilda? Please be gentle, there was another crack in her halo. Sarah fussed at it restlessly, delicate fingers brushing over the blackened fissure that marred the once pristine ring hovering above her head. It shimmered weakly now, no longer shining with the same clarity as before. That worried her more than she cared to admit. A damaged halo could mean many things, none of them good. Pride, doubt, attachment, all potential sins. It also heralded something far more concerning, a sure sign that one was about to fall. Where did I go wrong? She whispered to the empty room. Her reflection in the tall mirror gazed back impassively, not judging but not comforting either. She touched the cracked light once more, then let her hand fall, letting motes of golden light fall through it. The glass felt colder today. And did her wing seem dimmer somehow? No, surely not. She would fix this. She would recover. But what if she didn't? What if it got worse? Sarah sighed. Why is this happening? Simple, came a voice from the doorway, smug and unmistakable. Because you let it. The head seraphim pivoted with a snarl, teeth clenched. Adam sauntered in without invitation, long red hair flowing behind her like an arrogant banner. Her body had changed, graceful, sleek, muscular in a dangerous sort of way, but the cocky swagger remained. Somehow it seemed worse now. Feminine wiles mixed with the same masculine ego, brewed into a creature of sharp teeth and sharper remarks. That form suits you, she quipped dryly. What shall I call you now? Eve? Another crack formed in her halo. Damn it! Call me whatever makes you feel clever, Halo Cracker. Adam spread her arms wide, mock spinning as though showing off a dress. I quite like this form, actually. Bit more balanced, you might say. Especially the ass. I mean, have you seen this thing? She tutted. Crude as ever, I see. You haven't changed. Aha, but I have. Unlike you, Miss Uptight. Sarah didn't smile. Adam's grin twitched, then faded. You take things far too seriously. She considering smiting the smug angel, and you take nothing seriously at all. That's why we make a great team. Or we used to. Adam leaned against a nearby column, watching Sarah with those maddening amber eyes, still refusing to give the underworld any breathing room. Still trying to police every little move they make. Sarah bridled. It's not about policing, it's about vigilance. We've already seen the consequences of neglect. They attacked us. Bull and shit. The lesser angel raised a glowing digit. That collateral happened because you sicked Morningstar on him. Bad idea, by the way. You made an enemy with that. Congratulations, she hissed. You would support this nonsense? You mean the kid? Naruto? I mean all of it. Sarah flung out her wings, momentarily regaining her luster before dimming once more. The Seraphim were always meant to be stewards, not tyrants. But if we abdicate completely, that's not the reason you're cracking apart, Adam interrupted, nodding toward her halo. Ever think you might be to blame for that? Nonsense. Everything I do is for the good of the heavens. The heavens or yourself? The stinging barb silenced her for a moment. Her shoulders slumped. Why are you even here, Adam? In the interest of not getting my now bountiful ass handed to me again or getting zapped to death by top brass, the transformed or had he been cursed. Angel flinched at something Sarah didn't understand and jerked her chin towards the doors. I'm here to tell you to lay off. Oh, and because your favourite little murder soldier refuses to follow orders. The doors slammed wide open. I heard that. Lute strode into the chamber, boots clicking angrily on marble, wings rigid and tight against her back, halo gleaming darkly to match her maligned expression. She saluted half-heartedly, then dropped it without being dismissed. With all due respect, Ma'am, I stand by what I said. This is bullshit. Sarah sighed and pinched the bridge of her nose. Language, dear. Adam shrugged. Meh, she said worse. No, really. Lute granted them both a glower. You want me to just stand by and let hell consolidate power while we twiddle our thumbs and smile politely? That's not stewardship. That's cowardice. We need to slaughter them now before they regroup and attack us again. We are not warmongers. Sarah steepled her fingers and laid her chin atop them. We do what must be done because we must. We take no joy in it. To be fair, Adam raised a finger. I kinda did for a while. Lute rounded on him, incredulous. Don't tell me you're supporting this truce. What can I say? Adam's ever-present smile vanished. Doesn't feel so great when you're the one being tortured. Speak for yourself, sir. Lute snapped. I still want to kill them. All of them. Sarah squinted at her. Was that a crack in her halo? She couldn't be sure. Adam whistled. Yeesh, someone's cranky today. Lute snarled. I am not cranky. Adam reached out, grabbed her by the collar and started dragging her bodily toward the exit. Come on, Murder Barbie. Time for your walk. Get your hands off me. Nope, Adam chirped, hauling her along. You and me? We're gonna go hit something. Far away from this room. For everyone's sake. Might even see what this new body of mine can put out in bed. You've been pent up these last few days, haven't you? Lute squawked unhappily, face red. Sir, we're in public. Ma'am now, technically. My point stands. So does mine. To the bedroom. Sarah watched them go, then sat down with a quiet groan. I'm surrounded by fools. 0.0, 0.0. The Hazbin Hotel had seen worse. To be fair, it was a shelter to all manner of misfits these days, though perhaps not one quite like this. Velvet glided through the gilded lobby with the effortless poise of someone who believed ownership was simply a matter of attitude, and hers radiated like a neon sign. Her smile was too precise to be genuine, razor-sharp at the corners, like a well-honed blade wrapped in bubblegum gloss. A pair of angular sunglasses perched on her nose, dark enough to obscure her eyes, yet not so dark as to hide the smug tilt of her brow. Her heels struck the tile with rhythmic precision, each click like the tick of a clock counting down to mischief. She twirled once, arms out as though to greet an adoring audience, though the only one watching was Husk, who responded with a low growl and a deeper scowl. From the far corner of the lounge, Carmilla reclined lazily in a Victorian settee, swirling a glass of crimson liquid that bore only a passing resemblance to wine. Her nose crinkled faintly. Do we really have to deal with her? She asked, voice thick with old-world boredom. Charlie, caught halfway between hospitality and horror, offered a sheepish shrug. She registered. Technically. Carmilla raised an arched brow. So do most parasites. Above them, on a narrow balcony overlooking the chaos, Naruto stood with his arms folded. He leaned against the iron balustrade, expression unreadable but vaguely amused, as if he were watching a street magician attempt sleight of hand with transparent gloves. Emily hovered at his side, wings flicking once with visible unease. Her gaze followed Velvet's meandering path below, like watching a fox prance through a henhouse, admiring the architecture before the slaughter. She's energetic, the little seraphim offered delicately. Isn't she? Naruto's lips twitched. She's a bomb with lip gloss. Emily blinked. Pardon? I'm fairly certain she's already planted 6 surveillance devices. He squinted. Maybe 7. The little seraphim squeaked, lavender eyes bulging. What? He held up a hand and patted her head. Kidding. Mostly. Down below, Velvet had commandeered the center chaise. She spun it 30 degrees, stepped back, tilted her head, then rotated it another 10. Satisfied, she plopped down sideways and began chatting with Nifty as if they'd been old roommates. Husk snarled something incoherent when she waved at him. Angel Dust cracked a joke about glitter and lace, which earned him a dramatic finger gun and an exaggerated wink. A pointed remark toward Kurama had he ducking a crimson tail. She seemed to enjoy riling the fox up more than anyone else. And as for Verasika, those two were getting along like a house on fire, almost worryingly so. To be fair, their resident succubus couldn't hide forever. Not with Carmilla taking up a semi-permanent residence in the hotel. She'd reluctantly come downstairs, though she looked ready to bolt. Thankfully, the weapons dealer hadn't tried to attack her just yet, but he knew it was coming. He'd have to step in if they came to blows again. Thankfully, Carmilla seemed more irked by Velvet than Verasika at the moment. It wouldn't last, he knew, but for now, they had a truce. Alistair predictably said nothing, just smiled wider, like he knew what was going on. "She's not exactly subtle," Emily whispered, her voice tight. Naruto tapped the balcony railing. "That depends." He gestured with a flick of his fingers. Emily followed his point to a delicate porcelain vase nestled between a decorative pillar and the foot of a low bookshelf. Velvet's arm had passed that way not 30 seconds earlier. Now, barely visible under the vase's lip, a crystalline beetle shimmered, its translucent wings folded tight, its eyes blinking softly with ambient light. Emily's wings flared, her feathers rustling. She's spying. On Vox's orders, I'd bet my last bowl of ramen. Naruto pushed off the railing, stretching lazily. "Let her." Emily stared at him, scandalized. But why he shrugged. "I find it endearing." "Endearing? Now that I know what she's up to?" He chuckled as he began to walk. "Yeah, it's like watching a raccoon try to break into a safe with a crowbar. Loud, messy, obvious, but so determined. Honestly, I thought she was going to try and blow up the hotel or something. This I can deal with." Emily stood behind for a long moment, watching Velvet, as she now pretended to admire a faded painting while subtly adjusting the angle of her shades to catch a reflection. The raccoon metaphor seemed more apt by the second. "She'll cause trouble," Emily murmured almost to herself. "Of course she will," Naruto called over his shoulder. "That's what makes her useful." 0.0. 0.0. Later that evening, in the warmth of the upper spire, Naruto stood alone at the glass dome, watching heaven glow faintly on the far horizon. Emily joined him, carrying cocoa. "You should tell Sira what you saw," she said, offering him a cup. "And ruin her evening." Naruto accepted the drink and took a small sip. Let her deal with Lute and her cracked ego first. Emily winced a little at that. He noticed. "You had a fight with them, didn't you?" The smaller seraphim looked away. "Maybe more than a fight?" A pale brow rose, but he didn't pry. She seemed to appreciate that. After taking long drink of her own beverage, she spared him a skittish glance. Her emotions ran an anxious gamut, from glee to despair to quiet resolve paired by soft sorrow. Setting her cup aside, she wrung her hands, fingers twisting anxiously. "I may have knocked Lute out cold." Naruto snorted despite himself. "You what now?" She told him what she had done to Lute in no uncertain terms. By the time she'd finished, he found himself impressed. "See? You can fight when you want to." Emily whined and wrung her hands anew. "Don't say it like that." "Why not?" He patted her cheek. "I'm proud of you." She hung her head. "You shouldn't be." "Emily?" She bit her lip and her halo dimmed for a moment. "I struck Sarah." Naruto's brow shot into his hair. "How bad?" She whimpered a little. "Hard." "Ah, that explained things," he sighed. "Emmy." She really was too pure for her own good. He wouldn't have spared Sira a second thought, but he could see the guilt eating at Emily. It probably had been for some time now. He just hadn't noticed. The meeting with the overlords had dominated his thoughts for some time, followed by Velvet's shenanigans. There hadn't been time for anything else. Now there was. He opened his arms. It was like flicking a switch. With a little sob, she took wing and leaped into his arms. He caught her with one arm, stumbled, narrowly avoiding spilling his cocoa with the other. "Blast it all!" She huffed against his chest. "I don't like being short." "Why are you so tall?" "Not my fault you're so short." She growled against his chest and thumped him once, harmless as a wet kitten. Eventually, she subsided. "Thanks. I think I think I needed that. He kissed her forehead. No problem. For some reason, she squirmed in his arms and gave him an anxious look. Shouldn't you be spending time with Miss Carmilla or Karama? Why? He granted her a puzzled look. They're asleep. You're not. I want to be with you. Her face went red. What? Was it something I said? Naruto, No, never mind. Emily looked like she might say something more to that effect. Instead, she hesitated. Do you really think Velvet's not a threat? Naruto retrieved his cup of cocoa and took another sip. Let the silence stretch. I think she's the appetizer. The real meal's still cooking. He glanced at Emily, then past her, as if seeing something far beyond the hotel walls. And I don't like the smell coming out of the kitchen. Emily looked up at him. What will you do? He hummed and took a second sip. What I do best. 0.0. Any luck? Velvet cast a longing look at her bed as she leaned against a nearby wall. Stifling a yawn against the back of her palm, she shifted her phone against her shoulder, rolling her eyes as she kicked off her boots. Darling, I only just got set up. Have some patience. Vox certainly didn't sound patient. This guy's bad new, Vel. Figure out what he's up to and get the hell out, you hear? That's an order. Boys. Always so simple. As if she'd pass up this opportunity, Tilda. Tutting softly, she shucked her trousers and wriggled her way into her pajamas. You say that, but I think he's serious about this whole redemption shtick. Bullshit. An angel of his rank wouldn't be down here for something like that. No, he's up to something. You should have seen him at the meeting. She fought down a delicious shiver at the memory. He looked like he was ready to gun every overlord down if they didn't do what he said. Hardcore. Even the V's wouldn't do something that ballsy. If she hadn't wanted him before, she did then. He's here to kill us all then. Of course he believed that. Vox was paranoid. You say that, but he's been pretty serious about this. I think he actually believes in redemption. Something burst through the wall behind Velvet to lock a hand around her shoulder. Bits of plaster rained down upon her head as something else emerged. Cold lips brushed her ear. The funny thing is, you'd be right. Then they yanked. Hard. She barely had time to comprehend that brief burst of violence before she found herself hauled through the wall, spun right round and promptly pinned against another. Her first instinct was to lash out and defend herself. An instinct that was promptly stamped out as a knee slammed into her groin and a hand seized her by the throat, which was in turn used in leverage to bash the back of her head against the plaster. Stars burst before her vision in a colourful explosion, followed by a firm fist to her gut, and that was it. Breath burst from her lungs, dragging the last of the fight with it. Her phone clattered to the floor, Vox squawking angrily all the while. Vel? Vel! Answer me. Vel's busy, a low voice growled. Leave a message at the beep. All this transpired in less than an instant. Through bleary eyes, Velvet blinked up at her captor. A bead of sweat ran down her brow as she beheld him. Hello again, handsome. Naruto smiled down at her. It was not a nice smile. Hello yourself. Oh, shit. She was in for it now, wasn't she? Big time. How many cameras have you set up? His thumb stroked her cheek, prompting a shiver from her and not an unpleasant one. The truth, if you please. Wouldn't want any misunderstandings between us. She wouldn't mind a few hard misunderstandings, thank you very much, but it didn't look like he was up for that sort of thing just now. No, tall, blonde and handsome looked downright murderous. Truth? She giggled, quietly flustered by his rage and his knee pushing into her. Truth is in the eye of the begak, she croaked as he squeezed her neck. All right, I give. I've set up 10. Naruto pressed his forehead to hers, towering over like some great golden god. Good girl. Now then, what should we do with you? The Overlord gulped once, heat rising in her cheeks. Be gentle, Daddy. Naruto loomed over her, eyes ablaze. Poor choice of words. Her scream filled the night. Chapter 18. A writer must write, just as a hunter must hunt. Tilda, rumor has it, I hate mornings. Velvet groaned aloud, dragging herself down the hotel's hallway with all the enthusiasm of a zombie. Every muscle in her lithe body protested. Her hips ached, her knees wobbled, and she was fairly certain she'd never walk straight again. Damn that blonde menace. This was his fault. Whatever it was that happened last night. Honestly, she wasn't even sure how to categorize it. Punishment? Interrogation? A very hands-on lesson? Her cheeks flamed at the memory of just how hands-on it got. She huffed and tried to straighten her frilly black dress, willing herself to look composed. Don't let them see weakness. You're an overlord, Vel. Act like one. She took one step into the lobby and immediately stumbled with a wince. So much for walking in proudly. Across the room, the morning breakfast crew of misfits and demons all turned at the sound of her oof as she caught herself on the doorframe. A silence fell, and then chaos. Charlie Morningstar's scarlet eyes went wide before a delighted if cheeky grin spread across her face. She sat at the head of a long dining table, a half-eaten stack of pancakes before her. Well, well, she chirped, golden blonde tail swishing behind her. Look who finally crawled out of bed. The Princess of Hell's tone dripped with playful insinuation. At Charlie's side, her girlfriend turned assistant Vaggie nearly choked on her coffee. Her eyes bugged out as she glanced between Velvet and the only person notably absent from breakfast roll call. No way, did he? She sputtered, unable to finish the thought, while a few seats down, Angel Dust whooped with laughter. Oh, honey. Angel Dust cackled, the spider demon fanning himself dramatically. Someone had a real good night. Look at her, she's bow-legged. He was practically vibrating in glee at the scandalous implication, forearms flailing as he cackled at her. Spill! I need details, Toots. Velvet's face burned redder than Alastor's favourite pinstriped suit. She tried to muster a scathing retort, but only managed a mortified squeak. Why did everyone have to be here right now? Charlie, Vaggie, Angel, that smug radio demon. Even Carmilla was perched primly at the table, watching with narrow, displeased eyes. The elegant demon's fingers tapped an annoyed staccato on her teacup, fangs set on edge. A gentle buzz of static signalled Alasta's delight as he materialized by Velvet's elbow. The radio demon's grin was as bright as the morning sun, and twice as mischievous. Good morning, my dear, he sang out. His rich voice crackled with barely contained laughter. My, you look positively radiant today. Glowing, even. He adjusted his monocle and leaned in, stage whispering, though you appear to have a slight limp. Is everything quite all right? Velvet straightened, refusing to be cowed. She smoothed down her dark bob of hair and lifted her chin. I'm fine, she lied breezily, or as breezily as one can while wobbling to the nearest chair. Summoning all her dignity, the overlord of fashion and media attempted to strut. It came out as more of a stiff-legged shuffle. A snort came from the table. Verosica Mayday, sitting with one stiletto-heeled boot, propped on a chair, eyed Velvet like a cat that caught a canary. The pop star succubus pushed her purple shades down her nose, revealing her cunning eyes. Oh, you sure you're fine? Verosica cooed with saccharine mock sympathy. You're walking like you got absolutely railed. She mimed a rough smack on her own backside and winked. I know that look. That's the I got seduced by a blonde hunk and rode hard all night walk. Velvet nearly tripped over her own feet. He did not, she squawked, face practically steaming now. It wasn't like that. Uh-huh. And I'm a virgin, Verosica shot back, snickering. She flipped her long pink hair over one shoulder and gave a pointed look at Velvet's dishevelled appearance. The normally immaculate overlord was missing a few hairpins, her stockings were twisted, and was that a bite mark peeking above her collar? Velvet hastily tugged her neckline up, scowling. At that moment, Naruto Uzumaki chose to finally grace the breakfast table, looking annoyingly fresh and energetic. The whiskered blonde strolled in from the kitchen with a tray piled high with eggs and toast. Morning, everybody. He beamed, completely oblivious to the tension. Sorry I'm late. Emily wanted to chat with Kurama something about heaven paperwork, and I got a little carried away cooking. Who wants omelettes? He paused, blue eyes taking in the scene. Velvet frozen mid-step, Verosica cackling behind her hand, Charlie biting her lip to keep from giggling, and a flurry of other expressions ranging from amused to exasperated. Naruto blinked, confusion knitting his brow. Why is everyone so quiet? Did I miss something? A strangled choke came from Carmilla. The overlord set down her teacup with a dangerous clink. Miss something? She echoed, eyes flashing. Oh no, nothing at all, boy. We were just wondering, she continued in a tone as sharp as an icicle, what exactly you did to our dear Velvet last night. Naruto nearly dropped his tray. What I did to... A flush crept up his neck. He cast an apologetic look at Velvet, who plopped into the nearest chair with a wince. I disciplined her. That's all, he explained hastily. She had bugs planted all over the hotel, and after some careful thought, I decided it was best to Disciplined? Charlie piped up, arching a perfectly manicured eyebrow. The princess folded her hands under her chin, affecting an innocent expression that fooled no one. You might need to be a little more specific on that front. Because judging by Velvet's current condition, she gestured vaguely at the bedraggled demoness, who glared daggers back. Well, everybody kind of thinks your idea of discipline is awfully close to, say, seduction. Charlie's eyes practically danced with mirth. Naruto's tan face went from pink to red. It wasn't, he sputtered, nearly tripping over his words. The poor shinobi looked like a fox caught raiding the henhouse. I mean, she was spying on us, so I had to teach her a lesson. And maybe things got a little, physical? But only because she attacked me first. Only because you scared the shit out of me. At that, Velvet buried her face in her hands with an incoherent groan. Trust him to make it sound even worse. Just kill me now, she mumbled into her palms. Angel Dust howled with laughter. Physical! Oh, I bet it got physical. The spider demon fluttered his snowy lashes and deepened his voice in a mock imitation of Naruto. She attacked me, so I had to pin her down and give her the roughest night of her life. He collapsed against Vaggie, cackling. Classic! Shut up, dust for brains! Velvet snapped, her mortification quickly igniting into anger. She tossed a butter knife at Angel. It bounced off his forehead harmlessly but wiped the grin off his face. Nobody was pinned or railed or... She stopped, words failing her. Honestly, how did she end up in this situation? She remembered confronting Naruto in his room, things getting heated, in more ways than one, and then Velvet's indignation faltered as hazy recollections of wandering hands and wicked grins flitted through her mind. Her lips tingled at the memory. Ah, focus! Carmilla's glowing gaze narrowed to sinister slits. So you claim you didn't seduce her, she said archly. Yet here she is, limping this morning. The pale vampiress tapped a claw against the table, looking thoroughly unimpressed. If that's how you discipline someone, remind me not to get on your bad side. Across the table, Alistair chuckled into his cup of chicory coffee. Oh, indeed, he drawled with mock seriousness. Our dear Velvet's current state does raise some provocative questions. The radio demon's grin stretched ear to ear, white teeth gleaming. Did our resident ninja break the poor girl, or did he simply wear her out? Velvet's brow bristled, twitching like an irritated cat's. Why don't you all mind your own damn business? She snarled, face still beet red. Nothing happened. Sure, nothing, Verisika purred, propping her chin on her hand. And I'm totally convinced those are just mosquito bites on your neck, not hickeys. Velvet slapped a hand over her neck again. She glared venom at Verisika, but the succubus just laughed, fangs peeking out in a wicked grin. Naruto groaned and ran a hand through his messy blonde hair. This was quickly spiraling out of control. All right, enough? He interjected, cheeks still glowing. Velvet was caught spying. I confronted her, we fought, I won. That's it? He huffed, trying to sound authoritative, but his flustered tone undercut it. I may have gotten a bit carried away, proving a point. But, he added firmly, I did not seduce her. A soft humph came from Velvet. She peeked at Naruto from behind her fingers. Could have fooled me, she muttered, too low for the others to catch. She had bit him first to be fair when he spanked her, and he'd retaliated accordingly. In truth, she still wasn't entirely sure who, if that counted as a proper seduction by the end of it. Not that she'd ever admit that out loud. Charlie clapped her hands, drawing attention back. All right, let's give them a break, she giggled. The hotel princess was clearly enjoying this gossip session, but she took pity on Naruto's embarrassment. We've got bigger fish to fry this morning than teasing our new favorite couple. We are not a couple. Naruto and Velvet yelled in unison, then exchanged startled looks. Velvet blushed harder. Naruto coughed and very pointedly focused on dishing out eggs onto plates. Charlie tittered behind her hand. Of course not, she said, winking at Vaggie, who just rolled her eye. Now, down to business. She stood, smoothing her peach-coloured jacket and instantly shifting into cheerful leader mode. As you all know, I'm organising a brand new rehabilitation program thingy for the hotel. Gotta strike while the iron's hot. Driving a fist into an open palm, she beamed at the lot of them. The successful redemption of our dear Serpentius last week has drawn in lots of interest. I wouldn't call it redemption. He just agreed to stay here. And is currently hiding because you scared the daylights out of him. Angel Dust amended with a cackle. Hey, you take that back. I ain't that scary. Buddy, you got 10 wings and fought the big boss to a standstill. If that ain't scary, I don't know what is. At that, Alastor's nose wrinkled briefly. The radio demon still considered Pentious turning his coat a fluke, but he maintained a polite smile. Velvet just looked confused and mildly relieved the spotlight was off her sex life. Naruto perked up, curious despite himself. Charlie continued enthusiastically, counting on her fingers. We've got seminars, team-building activities, maybe even a field trip to the meadows. All to show demons there's another path besides, murder and mayhem. She beamed, eyes shining with idealism. But I'll need some extra hands to help run it. Without warning, the princess whirled and pointed dramatically at Velvet. Which is why you, Miss Velvet, are going to be our newest participant. Velvet blinked. Pardon? She drawled, wondering if she heard wrong. Around the table, a few grins reappeared, most notably on Alastor and Angel Dust. Naruto gave Charlie a thumbs up, as if this was the most natural decision in the world. Carmilla arched an eyebrow in surprise, but said nothing. Charlie pressed on, not missing a beat. You heard me. Consider it part of your punishment for that whole spying business. She waved a hand airily. Yesterday you were trying to sabotage us. Today you'll join us and learn about the wonders of redemption. Velvet's jaw dropped. You can't be serious. Being forced into an angel-approved rehab program sounded like absolute torture for a demon overlord. Possibly worse than what she went through last night, and that was saying something. I don't need rehabilitation, thank you very much, she sneered, folding her arms. Charlie only smiled brighter, utterly immune to the demoness's glare. Oh, don't worry, it'll be fun. Trust me. She turned to the radio demon next. And Alastor, you're going to help me run it? Alastor spat out his coffee. But pardon? He echoed, almost the same tone Velvet had used. For once, the ever-poised radio demon looked caught off guard. A drop of coffee trickled down his chin, quickly wiped away as he straightened. My dear, I think I misheard. It sounded like you wanted me to assist in a redemption program. He let out a trill of static-laced laughter at the absurdity. Surely you recall, I have no interest in being redeemed. Charlie wagged a finger at him. Ah, but you are interested in the hotel's success, right? And you did say you wanted to be more involved. She clasped her hands behind her back and swayed on her heels, all wide-eyed innocence. Unless the great Alastor is afraid he can't handle it, Alastor's crimson eyes flashed. If there was one thing his pride couldn't resist, it was a challenge. Afraid? My dear, you wound me, he said with a theatrical flourish of his cane. I fear nothing, certainly not a few unruly demons in a classroom. His grin returned sharp as ever. If you require my unparalleled talents to make your little project a success, then who am I to deny you? Fantastic! Charlie clapped again, bouncing on the balls of her feet. Velvet Alastor, welcome to Team Rehabilitation. Velvet sank lower in her chair, sullen. Being roped into working with Goody Two-Shoes, Charlie and that damnably chipper Alastor was not how she envisioned her morning. She shot Naruto a withering look, as if this was somehow his fault too. He simply gave her an encouraging smile that only made her scowl deepen. Have fun, Tilda! Jump up your own ass and die! Carmilla sniffed and stood as well, smoothing invisible wrinkles from her sleek black gown. If we're quite finished with the farce, she said tartly, some of us have duties to attend. The elder overlord was clearly still irritated. Whether at Naruto's nightly escapades or Charlie's idealism, it was hard to tell. Probably both. She gave Naruto a hard glare. Try to keep it in your pants from now on, Fox? She bit out. With that, she swept out of the dining hall in a swirl of burgundy skirts, leaving an awkward silence. Naruto rubbed the back of his neck sheepishly. She'll come around, he said half to himself. Carmilla had been one of the first demons he'd befriended down here, and her disappointment stung more than he let on. Verosika chose that moment to stand, stretching her long legs and tossing back the last of her Bloody Mary. Extra blood. Speaking of pants, she drawled, violet eyes locking onto Naruto like a predator sighting prey, I believe you promised me a tour of the city. Hot stuff. Naruto blinked, wings twitching behind him. I did? He searched his memory. Verosika had been flirting with him for days since this debacle began. In the midst of that chaos, he might have offhandedly agreed to hang out. Oh, right, I guess I did. Verosika's glossy lips curved into a victorious smile. Good. Because I'm collecting today. She sauntered closer, looping her arm through his with practiced ease. Her tail swished behind her, its heart-shaped tip flicking in sordid anticipation, and I don't take kindly to rain checks. Naruto opened his mouth to respond, but a low growl cut him off. "Hold it, skank!" came a rough voice from behind. A moment later, Kurama interposed herself, prying Verosika's arm off Naruto with a clawed hand. She bared her fangs, 9 tails flaring out behind her in annoyance. "Naruto's already booked," the kitsune declared, golden eyes narrowing at the succubus. "Find your own human chew toy." Verosika's smile dropped, replaced by a scowl. "Excuse me," she snapped, looking Kurama up and down. The former Ninetails stood protectively at Naruto's side, arms crossed over her ample chest. Despite the succubus being tall herself, especially in heels, Kurama stood a couple of inches taller, and with her tails bristling and ears erect, she cut an intimidating figure. Verosika was not impressed. "Fido here thinks she can hog the blonde all to herself." Kurama's eye twitched. "Call me a dog again, slut, and see what happens," she snarled, ears flattening. Tiny embers crackled at the tips of her claws, a warning from the legendary kitsune's temper. Angel Dust whistled. "Think they're gonna fight?" Husk scoffed. "I'll take that bet." Naruto quickly stepped between the two women before things escalated to full-on demon catfight. "Hey now!" He laughed nervously, holding both hands up and, incidentally, placing a palm on each of their shoulders to keep them apart. "No need for fireballs or hell magic, okay? There's plenty of me to go around." The instant the words left his mouth, his face went scarlet. "Shit, I meant..." Angel Dust snickered from the table. "He's got plenty to go around, ladies," the spider demon hooted, waggling his eyebrows. "Trust me, if anyone can handle a threesome date, it's that stud right there." Naruto shot him a mortified shut-up look, which only made Angel laugh harder. Verosika recovered first, her scowl morphing back into a coy smirk as she pressed closer to Naruto's side, pointedly elbowing Kurama aside in the process. "You heard the man," she purred, tracing a finger down Naruto's chest. "He can share. Why don't you come along, Foxy? You might learn a thing or two from a professional." She blew Kurama a mocking kiss. "Unless you're too chicken shit to leave me alone with him." Naruto clapped a hand to his forehead. "You just had to say it." Kurama bristled, literally her tails puffed up. "The nerve of this bat-winged bimbo," she growled. "Naruto, you promised we'd train today, you and me." She fixed Naruto with a firm look, ignoring Verosika entirely now. "Don't tell me you're ditching our sparring session for a flirt fest with Lusty the karaoke queen. Who are you calling a bimbo, you overgrown furball?" Verosika snapped, her succubus glamour flickering to reveal a hint of demonic features, pupils slitted, spaded tail flicking dangerously. She looked ready to lunge. Emily hollered from the balcony before they could. "No fighting. If you make me redo this paperwork, I'm putting you both in time out." Kurama physically flinched. "You wouldn't..." The small seraphim leaned over the railing, halo glowing, eyes intent. "Try me. You're not that fluffy." Verosika sniggered. Emily appeared before her in a flash of angelic light, fists planted on her hips. "I'm sorry, did I say something that you found funny?" The succubus instantly changed her tune. "Nope, didn't think so. Now behave." Naruto, caught in the middle, quite literally, let out a strangled chuckle. Some ninja he was, able to face down angels and overlords, yet utterly helpless against two beautiful women fighting over him. "Thanks, hun. Don't mention it." Emily gave his hand a quick squeeze, beat her wings once, and delivered a soothing peck to his cheek. "I did say you should spend more time with everyone else today. I'd be an awful angel if I tried to hoard you all to myself. Truly too pure for this world." "You sure? You could come with..." "No, no, no." She crossed both arms in the shape of an X and shook her head before he could hope to finish. "Bleh! I cherish you, really I do, but this is your mess to sort out." Quick as a dove, and with one last quick cuddle that made his heart skip a beat, she fluttered back to the balcony and retreated, leaving him to his own devices. And Kurama was trying to tear out Verosika's throat. "Better stop that. Ladies, please." He sighed, gently disentangling Verosika's wandering hand while also patting one of Kurama's fluffy tails soothingly. "We can sort out a schedule or something?" "Verosika, I did say I'd show you around today, but Kurama's right. I promised her some training time too." Verosika flicked her hair with a huff. "Fine. I know how to share." She looped an arm through Naruto's again possessively, shooting Kurama a challenging glare. "But I call dibs on any hands-on activities." Kurama flashed a smug grin and snatched Naruto's other arm. "Dream on. I'm not leaving you alone with him, succubus. You might suck out his soul or something." Naruto raised a finger awkwardly. "Actually, I don't think that's how succubi work." "Shush, Naruto," both women said in unison, then glared at each other for accidentally agreeing. Naruto felt a bead of sweat run down his brow. "This is my life now," he thought with equal parts awe and exasperation. At least Emily was understanding about it, even if she'd avoided mentioning Velvet. Charlie looked on with poorly concealed laughter. She leaned over to Vaggie and whispered, "Should we do something?" Vaggie just shook her head, a tiny smirk on her lips. "I think he's got it under control," Vaggie murmured dryly as Naruto finally managed to herd Verasika and Kurama towards the door, each still clinging to an arm and exchanging catty barbs. "Or not," she chuckled. "Poor idiot." Charlie giggled. "Well, at least they'll keep him busy and out of our hair while we work." Raising her voice, she called sweetly, "Have fun, you three. Play nice." "Yeah, real nice," Angel Dust added with a lewd cackle. "Wear protection, Tilda." Naruto groaned audibly, but he didn't dare turn around. He was too busy preventing Kurama from literally pulling Verosika's hair out. The three disappeared out the hotel's front door in a tangle of tails, wings, and one very flustered ninja. As the door slammed shut behind them, Charlie released a breath and straightened her jacket. "All righty, now that's sorted." She pivoted back to the remaining demons still gathered. "Team Rehab, mount up! Up! We've got a program to plan." Velvet, who had been quietly trying to sneak away amidst the commotion, froze at Charlie's cheery command. The starry-eyed princess bounded over and hooked an arm around Velvet's, steering the protesting overlord back toward the conference room. "No slipping away, Veltild. This is a golden opportunity. By the time we're through, you might actually earn a shot at heaven." "Oh, joy," Velvet grumbled, dragging her feet even as Charlie dragged her along. "I can't wait." The sarcasm dripping from her voice could have filled a swimming pool. Alastor trailed behind them, humming a jaunty tune on his vintage mic staff and relishing Velvet's misery with a polite smile. As the chaotic morning in the hotel finally began to calm, far above in the shining spires of heaven, another chaos was brewing, albeit of a more personal sort. "Oh," to Tilda. High in the ivory towers of heaven's administration, Sarah slammed a golden spyglass shut with a trembling hand. Her heart pounded furiously in her chest as she struggled to process the scene she'd just witnessed in the mortal realm below. Naruto, surrounded by a gaggle of flirtatious she-demons, being pulled every which way. The way he'd blushed, the way they clung to him, it made her blood boil. Sarah's 6 white wings flared with agitation, knocking over a stack of scrolls on her desk. "That insufferable, reckless, ah!" she snarled, her composed, angelic demeanor cracking spectacularly. With a sudden burst of frustration, the seraphim flipped her entire desk over. The heavy alabaster table went crashing to the marble floor of her office with a thunderous boom, papers and quills flying everywhere. 2 lower-ranked cherubs passing by the open door squeaked in fright and hurried along, pretending they saw nothing. Heaven's sweet, benevolent Sarah, snapping and throwing furniture. Unthinkable. And yet, here she was, chest heaving as she glared down at the mess she'd made. All because of him. Naruto Uzumaki, the human, well, partly human apparently, who had thrown her orderly afterlife into disarray. She had watched him descend into hell with that ridiculous hotel project and absurd harem of admirers. And now her heart twisted in equal parts worry, jealousy, and fury. Yes, jealousy. She could finally admit that ugly truth to herself in the privacy of her quarters. Seeing him with those demons, with her of all people, that floozy Velvet, had ignited a vicious, unfamiliar jealousy inside her heart. It was the kind of envy no angel was supposed to feel. It frightened her. Sarah sucked in a shaky breath and closed her eyes. Calm down. Breathe. Throwing a celestial temper tantrum, gratifying though it might feel, would solve nothing. Naruto was a free soul. He could spend time with whomever he wished. It wasn't her place to want anything else. But he's going to ruin everything. A panicked little voice in her head whispered. All our plans, all our hopes for him. Hell will corrupt him for sure. And even if it didn't, the path he was on threatened to upend all her carefully schemes. Her fist thumped against a wall. Ah, blast it all! Reluctantly opening her eyes, she caught a glimpse of herself in the reflection of a broken mirror. What she saw there struck her silent. Her normally radiant form was dishevelled, platinum bright hair coming loose from its braids, halo cracked, white robes rumpled. But it was her wings that drew her gaze. The 6 seraphic tethers that arched from her back were not the pure pearlescent white they should be. Along the edges of her feathers, an unmistakable darkness was creeping in, inky black seeping into the downy plumes. At first, Sarah thought it was a trick of the light, but when she lifted a trembling hand to touch one, the feather crumbled at her fingertip, turning to a black ash. Sarah's blood ran cold. Her wings were turning black, her halo cracked. She knew the signs. Heaven knew she'd seen them countless times before in others. Falling from grace. Oh no. Oh no. Not now, not when she was so close to... Her stomach lurched, thoughts abandoning her in a panic. If the others saw? If Lute saw? For a moment she could have sworn her reflection laughed at her. Like what you see. Terror seized her. Sarah stomped down on the mirror, shattering it completely, then hurried to the door and slammed it shut, shooting the bolt home. Her breaths came quick and shallow as she pressed back against the wooden frame, eyes screwed shut. Perhaps if she just stayed in here, calmed herself, it would reverse. Yes, this could be temporary, a passing flaw brought on by stress. She just needed to compose herself, pray, and it would all go back to normal by evening. Surely. She slid down to the floor, wrapping her arms around her knees. All her life she had been the picture-perfect angel, steadfast and virtuous. Now here she was, hiding in her room as her wings, her very soul, darkened with forbidden feelings, greed, pride and wrath chief amongst them. Not lust. She refused to admit that. She absolutely refused. Tears pricked at the corners of her eyes. Part frustration, part heartbreak. How had it come to this? All this over a boy. A stupid, self-sacrificing, brave, kind, infuriating boy who probably didn't even realize just how much chaos he'd caused. He couldn't change anything. It was too late. If she fell because of him... A soft knock came at the door. Sarah's head snapped up, heart leaping into her throat. "Sarah?" came a muffled male voice. Michael. Of course it was Michael, the archangel of justice and her mentor, the one person she absolutely did not want to see her like this. Even Adam's new form would be preferable. Sarah scrambled to her feet, frantically wiping her eyes and trying to furl her wings to hide the spreading black against her back. I'm fine, she called out, hating how shaky her voice sounded. Just taking a moment to pray. Please, I'll come out later. A pause followed. For a moment, Sarah dared to hope he would leave it at that. But the door didn't move. Through the wood, his deep voice sighed. The paperwork, from last night's incident, still needs your signature. But I suppose it can wait. He sounded disappointed and concerned. Sarah bit her lip, clenching her fists so hard her nails left little crescent marks in her palms. Paperwork. Right. The aftermath of Extermination Day always generated mountains of it, and she'd been meticulously working. Until Naruto's antics below had distracted her. Until she'd let herself get distracted. Outside, Michael lingered another second. Sarah could almost picture him, tall and imposing in his gold and white armor, pinching the bridge of his nose like an exasperated father. You know, he said quietly, I did warn you. Sarah's chest tightened. She pressed her forehead to the cool door. I know, she whispered back, so softly she wasn't sure he'd hear. But the soft tread of his footsteps walking away told her he had, and that he was giving her time. Time to decide which side of heaven's gates she wanted to stand on when all was said and done. Alone again, Sarah exhaled shakily. She had a terrible sinking feeling those gates would shut on her sooner rather than later. And the worst part? As she gazed down at a fallen photograph on the floor, one of her and Emily smiling together in happier days, Sarah wasn't sure she entirely minded. A blackened feather drifted down beside the picture, further evidence of her unravelling halo. Sarah shut her eyes, tears finally spilling over as she hugged herself tight. Far below, Hell's ruling elite were experiencing their own form of panic, albeit expressed with much more yelling and far less crying. Tilda. In the depths of pandemonium, the royal palace of Hell, a conclave of 7 had gathered for an emergency meeting. It was not often that all 7 deadly sins convened in one place. In fact, it almost never happened. Each of Hellsea's sovereigns was a powerhouse in their own domain, and egos that large seldom fit neatly in one room. Yet here they were, seated around a massive obsidian table carved with demonic sigils, glaring at one another or fidgeting restlessly as they waited for the meeting to begin. Tension crackled in the air. At the head of the table stood Lucifer Morningstar, the Prince of Pride and King of Hell. Dapper and imposing, Lucifer cut a fine figure in his crisp white suit and crimson cravat. With a charming yet cold smile, Lucifer raised a crystal goblet to get everyone's attention. "Thank you all for assembling on such short notice," he said smoothly. His voice was rich and resonant, carrying authority by default. "I trust you understand the gravity of the situation that prompted this reunion." A derisive snort came from the far end of the table. Mammon, Prince of Greed, lounged with his boots up on a pile of gold bars that he had quite literally conjured as his seat. Dressed in a gaudy pinstriped suit with dollar-sign cufflinks, the green-skinned demon picked at his pointed teeth with a diamond toothpick. Yeah, Lucy, we get it," he drawled, his tone flippant. "Some twerps causing trouble. Not sure why we all gotta be here fighting about it. Just throw money at the problem, or throw the problem in a dumpster. Done." He flicked the toothpick, which turned one of his gold bars into solid platinum on contact. Must, not strangle. Lucifer's polite smile tightened almost imperceptibly. He chose not to dignify Mammon's attitude with a direct response. Instead, he gestured to a hovering projection in the center of the table, an ethereal screen showing the image of a certain spiky-haired blonde ninja, wings and all. As you all know by now, Naruto Uzumaki has become rather influential in Hell. "That's putting it lightly," grumbled Satan, Prince of Wrath. The warlike demon sat bolt upright in his chair, arms crossed over bulky, scarred muscles. Today he'd chosen the guise of a monstrous goat with burning red eyes, and his skin was charred black like cooled lava. Every few seconds, embers would fall from his curled ram horns and fizzle out on the table. Satan clenched his jaw. "The brat gave you quite some trouble, didn't he?" Morningstar carefully kept the smile affixed to his face. "Oh, what can I say? I underestimated him. Calm. He was doing this for Charlie. If he could get these bastards on board. Ugh, the things we do for family." Asmodeus, Prince of Lust, chuckled as though sensing that very thought. The flamboyant, rooster-like demon sprawled lazily in his seat, one arm around a lesser succubus consort who had been quietly feeding him chocolate-dipped strawberries the whole meeting. "Oh, come now," he purred in his deep, velvety voice. "I saw the footage. Didn't some of your best hellhounds pick a fight with him recently and lose?" The towering lust lord adjusted his rosy sunglasses and smirked. "I seem to recall him and his ladies sending your dogs home with their tails between their legs. Maybe they're just embarrassed that a pretty boy at half their size kicked their asses." Satan bristled, smoke puffing from his nostrils. "Watch it, Ozzy," he snarled, using Asmodeus's nickname. "Or I'll show you what embarrassment really feels like." "Oh, I'm so scared," Asmodeus shot back, rolling all four of his eyes. "You'll burn my orgy pits? Strike me with lightning? Please, take a number. Far as I'm concerned, our angelic friend has my blessing to do as he pleases. After all, he's been a busy boy." Mammon cackled. "Just throw a few women at him, then. That'll keep the kid distracted. He certainly seems greedy enough. It took everything Lucy had not to pump a fist in triumph. One down. Maybe two?" Beelzebub, the queen of gluttony, slammed her mug of demon ale on the table, the impact rattling plates of half-eaten food around her. "Could we focus, please?" she growled, her normally mirthful voice edged with impatience. Normally the life of the party, Beelzebub did not look amused today. In fact, worry creased her pretty features. "We're here to talk about the angel, not your bruised egos." Asmodeus raised his clawed hands in a gesture of peace, chuckling. Mammon snickered something under his breath about Queen Bee's got her stinger out. Bee ignored them and looked pointedly at Lucifer. "I agree with Lucy," she said firmly. "We have a serious situation. An angel is down her running amok without guidance, talking about salvation. And if he can fight us to a standstill, maybe even win." A watery gurgle of assent came from Leviathan, Prince of Envy. The whelp was in heaven, was he not? Her forked tongue flicked. An angel from heaven now loose in hell, and not fallen at that. It upsets the balance. "Does it, though?" Belphegor drawled. "He's hardly bothered us now, has he?" "Easy for you to say." Morningstar let them quibble amongst themselves for a moment, smiling to himself. "And then, I have a proposal." The other sins looked his way silently. In the end, Beelzebub broke it. We're listening. His cheeks dimpled in a grin as he told them. Naruto better appreciate this.